Good morning. Okay, today is Tuesday, July 23rd. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. This is the legal committee meeting of the Motor Vehicle Commission. My name is Carl Kramer, and I'm honored that Chairman Roberts has asked me to take the reins from on the legal committee from Commissioner Nate Jackson. I know I've got some big shoes to fill, but I'm sure everybody agrees with that, but I'll do the best I can. I would note for the record the following members of the legal committee that are present. We've got Commissioner Levy, Chairman Roberts, Commissioner Norton, Assistant Director or Assistant Chair Farravon, and myself, Carl Kramer. And then also I'd like to recognize our Executive Director, Denise Lawrence, Assistant Director, Jason Gilliam, our legal staff, Erica Smith and Taylor Hilton. And with that, I'll open it up for discussion for the legal report.
I'll go unless somebody else wants to do it first. Number 8.
Mr. Chairman, turn your mic on.
Is that working now? Yes. Okay. Number 18, I guess it's just a little caution on that one. In the report, it's pulling Copart and others into the discussion. It may be one person has done something, but I just hate to put them into the spotlight in the situations. Seems to suggest that they know about this, and do they, or do you think?
The reason I brought them in and just suggested that we communicate with them and more informally communicate with them, the executive director and myself and Taylor, is because I've seen so many instances where I have respondents who are unlicensed as a dealer that are buying vehicles from our auctions in Tennessee. And I know there are instances where an unlicensed dealer can buy, whether they have a wholesaler's license from another state, or maybe they have a license with a dealership that's licensed in another state, usually a neighboring state, and that is okay. But I'm seeing it so often, and I'm not getting that detail from the respondent like that. I am a wholesaler or I am a dealer in another state. It doesn't mean it's not true, but I'm seeing it so often and not getting that response that I just feel like it would be worthy of some communication to make sure, because we license auctions and they are, they need to answer to that if it is a problem.
I guess I'm wondering if it's a one bad actor or is it a Copart across the board problem?
Yeah, it seems like it's happening enough that it's definitely not one. It's not two. It's more than 15, I would say, in this year alone. And that's why I wouldn't even, it's not that I want to send them any kind of letter assuming anything, just some open line of communication to find out what they require.
Commissioner Norton, I had that one marked as well. What obligation does Copart have to the law as far as, as a dealer, we can't sell to another dealer unless they're a licensed dealer. So, or is Copart a licensed dealer?
They're a licensed auction.
Okay, so what do they adhere to in regards to selling? Are they allowed to sell to unlicensed dealers? That was my
I don't
question.
believe so. And that's the issue.
See, that would, to me, the B would point on to them as well as the individual who bought the vehicle. So it looks like to me Copart needs to be slapped on the wrist for this.
Right. And because I don't have all of the information, I didn't want to recommend a letter until I get the information.
Gotcha.
And because it's happened so often, I just thought it would be a good general conversation to have with them. And if we didn't license them, I would never recommend that. But because we do, I think it's important.
I don't want to go soft on them. I just want to make sure we we roll into it a little easier without snatching the whole company in.
Absolutely. Right.
So,
There's no
all.
accusations being made at this point, just some communication, so everybody's on the same page. But it's a very good question.
Okay. Number 26, failure to respond in a timely manner. 26 suggests that, certified mail has to be a precondition, and I worry about that because, it's in other cases, we may need to strike that because in other cases where the fine was issued didn't have certified in the report.
So
Like
it
you had to
definitely.
do certified.
It definitely has, at this time, our rule requires certified mail to be delivered in order for us to take any action for failing to respond. So just to remind the
Okay.
commission of our process, we send a
Okay.
regular mail letter, which
Okay.
wouldn't be sufficient for us to find them. And then if we don't get a response, we'll send a certified letter.
Okay.
But we have to make sure that's delivered. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times it takes a long time for whatever reason. I'll check, the tracking number and it's still out there after weeks. So I always make sure to check.
Good.
But also to put the commission on notice and to remind them we are working on changing that rule. So only regular mail is required. So that should change soon. I don't know where we're at with that, but.
Mr. Chairman, that's part of the rulemaking package that we've been working on that includes the fee increases.
Okay.
That we actually adopted in April. And it has to go through a process before it gets to the Secretary of State's office. I think that we're really close to having it to them.
Okay.
We made some edits to some documents that had been submitted previously by prior counsel Neil Stauffer. And so hopefully we will have our actual public rulemaking hearing in October at our October meeting. That's what
Okay.
we're shooting for.
Anyone I know that is assessing a civil, I think it's microphone.
It might just be broke. There we go. Yeah. And anyone assessing a civil penalty was confirmed that it went out on certified mail. I think Erica was just denoting it in this one because it had a different suggestion than the rest of them.
Right, I didn't have proof of it being delivered when I got the response. I kind of jumped the gun and reached out to them first.
Just a general observation on that. It seemed to be the theme of this review. There were more failure to response than I've seen in a long time, which begs the question I've asked before: Are we serving the dealer properly, or is the dealer being just lazy to respond? It just seemed really odd.
I completely agree with you, Commissioner Norton. It is a pain because it happens so often, and I will say in this report and in the last few months, I've noticed it a lot more. And we used to just immediately send out an investigator to obtain a response, but as we know, that costs a lot of money. So Taylor and I have really been working hard to take that work on ourselves, make the phone call, send extra emails. A lot of times it sounds easy, but you have to make multiple phone calls, you have to follow up, you have to get a new email address, and we're doing all of that to get these responses. So that's why if we can show that certified mail was delivered, we absolutely want to find these dealers because they should be answering. It is causing us a lot of extra work, a lot of time. I don't know what is in the water here to make it happen a lot. But if the commission has any other ideas of what we can do to prevent it or do better, I am all ears.
And that has been an internal discussion as well, because previously, we just started with a letter of warning, and then we've realized it's been increasing with each legal report, which is why we started doing the civil penalties now going forward, just because it's excessive at this point, how many failure to response we receive.
On that point, I noticed, is the line of demarcation between a letter of warning and the civil penalty, is that by the time you did this report, they hadn't responded yet? Then they got a fine. Whereas if they did respond, but it was untimely, they got a letter of warning.
I think for this one, if they've responded not within a timely manner. So I believe there's one that they responded before the report, but it took like 6 months, so they got a civil penalty. I think it's been more of like a case by case if they have a reasoning, or if it's just a week or so delayed, something to that matter. Or for this one, she couldn't prove that it was delivered certified mail. That's when we're kind of going back to the letter of warning, as opposed to if it's an egregious failure to respond, we're going with the civil penalty from here forward.
Is there a rule? I mean,
Yes.
The dealer should know, hey, you don't respond, you get a
Yeah,
$500 fine.
they have it. The rule gives them 30 days to respond. They have to respond to the commission. So.
Okay, on 29, I guess I want to distinguish between someone that is, failure to respond. Is it just a mistake, or is it some, do they have a clean record prior? Are they just ignoring us? or something like that, because I thought, for 3 weeks, $500, maybe we would do a letter of warning instead of the 500 on that one.
I mean, that is completely up to the commission. I will say, for this dealer, this isn't the first time that I've had to reach out to them.
Oh,
Because by the time it gets to Taylor and I, there's already been a regular mail
Okay.
letter sent, a certified letter sent, and emails.
Okay.
There's not been any phone calls, but there's been those three options, as long as we have an email address. And I know we had one for this dealer.
Sure.
So, and then I had to, so the 3 weeks is really after all of that. I had to call, ask them to respond, send an email again, a second
Sure.
one, and then it took them 3 weeks.
okay.
So, I mean-
So you've had a history.
But I've not had a history of assessing any letters or civil penalties. I've just had a history of me personally having to call. So it's, it's totally up to the commission. If you feel like it's too harsh, because it will be on their record, it is a consent order. They have to formally and on the record admit to a violation. They have to pay this fine. So I really am open to a letter of warning if you feel like that's more appropriate, given that they haven't had a letter yet.
Well, I
like
don't
said,
want you
it's
to
up
think
you.
I'm trying to go soft, because I'm a big proponent of backing you all and going after the
Yeah.
people that are flagrant abusers of the system. I just think that in this one, 3 weeks is not the,
Yeah. I mean, I really have been on the fence, because I know that if we do assess a civil penalty, I'm going to get a phone call and I'm going to have a really intense defense on their behalf, saying, well, I did respond, you got my response, it's in the legal report, I responded after you called, and I inevitably will hear, and as you guys are dealers, so I know that you can kind of make a better decision. I always hear, well, the mail comes in and then it goes to a secretary, or it goes to an admin person, and then it has to get to the manager, or it has to get to the manager and then their attorney. So
Yeah.
I understand that, and that's why I'm kind of, I'm not in that every day. You
Sure,
are. So
sure.
if you think I know that's what I'm going to hear from this dealer in particular. It's a franchise dealer. So if you feel like that is a reasonable defense, and you feel like it more warrants a letter and one more opportunity before a fine, I am okay with that. But I really have to leave it up to you.
I'm okay with it if you all are. I mean, do y'all feel strongly?
As long as they understand that this is the last
is it.
time. I mean,
That's right.
I don't know about you all, but if I got a letter in the mail from the Motor Vehicle Commission, I'm going to be notified immediately by about 12 people.
Yeah,
It's sort of like
Yeah.
getting, a subpoena for records.
that's right.
Well, I agree with you, but there are automotive groups that have multiple rooftops, and that chain of command can be challenged sometimes, yeah. So, but
Are
anyway,
you okay with the
yeah,
letter?
Yeah, I'm okay with
Okay.
it.
But then after that, we go after them.
Is there a way it could be at your discretion to decide whether you want to, I don't know. I think all dealers need to take these serious. I mean, I'm like Farrell, if I were to ever get anything from motor vehicle, it'd be on my desk fast. And everybody needs to take this serious. And it just seems like all of them that I'm reading, some people aren't.
No, and it's really frustrating. And then I get the defense of that I just kind of summarized for you, and then I'm like, okay, well, I can see what you're talking about, this chain of command. It can take a while, or maybe the person that's going to respond isn't even at the dealership. They're in another state or something at some corporate office. So, I just don't know.
And I totally understand your frustration with it, but I know that the people sitting around this table, most of us are new car dealers, and we're responsible, and we, like Farrah said, Commissioner Vaughn says, we are on it like you wouldn't believe.
And that's how I would be.
5 different people are going to be on it, but we got to think about the little guy that's out there operating a mom and pop store in the middle of nowhere, and somebody missed something,
Right. I
So-
will, I really try to approach all of these on a case-by-case basis, and I know that there's been quite a few, there's never been any discipline. And as you know, anybody can file a complaint for any reason. It doesn't
Sure.
mean the dealer did anything wrong. And that's kind of where we are with this dealer. But there's been so many complaints, and they know this process. That's why I was so frustrated at the time. But, time has passed since then. So I will say Taylor has quite a few that are really similar to this.
Yeah.
So we want to be consistent in what we
Yeah.
decide here, because I know if we give this dealer a letter of warning. We need to do that for everybody that hasn't had,
But what we need to establish is it unintentional or is it intentional? If they're just ignoring us and it goes on for a while and you just get no answer and you've gone through everything possible, I mean, don't cut them any slack.
right. I know that if we have to send an investigator out, I absolutely am firm and we need to assess a civil penalty
Yeah.
because that costs us
It does.
a lot of money and
I
time.
agree. I agree.
And our investigators are so busy and they, it's a silly reason, especially if there's really no meat to a complaint and we have to send somebody out just to get a response to something that isn't a big deal.
That's right.
I always try to stress to them when I'm talking, so I don't know.
So you're on the fence on this
I
and you're
am.
okay?
I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for you.
Well,
Yeah.
In this
once
situation,
again,
though, I mean, if their response was, oh, there's lots of people that have to see it, your response should be, well, that's your process.
Right, well,
The
and that's-
requirement is 30 days.
That's how I feel.
What I'm hearing all the other dealers say is, it's ingrained into them. If you see Motor Vehicle Commission, you bring it to me
Right,
immediately.
right.
So, sorry, 30 days, you're out of luck,
Right.
it caused me a lot of problem. I'd say keep the fine.
And, like,
Because
I'm
otherwise,
licensed-
they're not gonna ever take these folks seriously.
If I got a letter from from the Board of Professional Responsibility, who, governs my license,
Mm-hmm.
I would put everything aside and it would be the only thing I did until
yeah,
I resolved
exactly.
it. So,
And I agree with everybody's comment on that. Again, I just want to make sure that we're not getting heavy-handed with hitting them
Yeah.
on a short lack of response.
yeah.
And like Erica.
Here, I'll take,
I don't know if it's me or. Okay, I'm back. I'll say I'm in support of the civil penalty because I think we've had a lot of issues in the past where we've done a lot of these letter of warnings, and I don't think they carry much weight, and the
Yeah.
continual failure to respond are just growing with each legal report. And so I think, one, if we do change Erica's, I think we should continue to go through each of them just to stay consistent, because I have about 5 that have civil penalties assessed with them. So I'll just note that, but it's in the commission's discretion of if they want to move forward with a civil penalty or a letter of warning.
Well, I'm good with putting the 500 civil penalty on there, but we got to be consistent. And if somebody else has a great story, we still have to hit them
right, no, I completely agree.
because we got to keep it consistent.
I know that I put myself in the position of a licensee. If I dropped the ball or I took too long to give it to who it needed to be given to and somebody fined me, I would take that and accept it as a proper punishment. So I guess if you're asking me for my final decision, I am in support of that civil penalty.
Okay. Well, let's just leave it like it is. And so we don't even have to mention that one in the report. We just left it.
After, I'll grab another one.
Number 65, again, on that heavy-handed, we hit I think you hit them for $1,000 on the civil penalty. Can you
Right.
explain that one, how you came?
Sure, that's a great question. What we did is we assessed a $500 civil penalty for each month that they were unlicensed.
Is that something we typically do? Is that consistent with anything that
It's
we've
really
done?
on a case-by-case basis. I will say that in the past, if we've had some sort of expired, like whether it be a surety bond or a garage liability, we usually do assess it per month unless it becomes really unreasonable and unpayable. When it's a city business license or a county business license, we usually just do a one-time fine because I guess we feel it's not going to harm the consumer as much as an unlicensed dealer or a surety bond that's not active where they couldn't file a claim. Or if there was an accident and an insurance claim wouldn't, be honored because of a garage liability expired. So that's kind of where we're coming from. We see it as a little more egregious when it's your dealer license.
Okay. It's just more of a question than anything. I just
Yeah.
kind of wanted to understand where you came up with that formula. But anyway, I'm going to turn it over to somebody else to make comments. We've only got 10, 15 minutes left.
Commissioner Norton, I'm going to skip all the way back to the number 100, the discussion. That was an interesting case, and to open it up to everyone, it looks like to me,
Is it 100 even?
101, I'm sorry,
Okay.
101, 101. I did flag 100, but 101 had more merit for discussion. Apparently, the vehicle was purchased, and the complainant stopped payment on the vehicle, so it turned out to be, they didn't pay for the car anyway, so you didn't have an executed agreement, and the respondent picked the vehicle up, so they got their car, so they're both right where they started. So if there's anything to be done on this, it looks like clearly a civil matter to me, so that would be my take on that. But when it said discuss, I was prepared for discussion if anybody wants to debate.
Yeah, so why we went back and forth on that one quite a bit internally. The reason we just wanted you guys to discuss it was to see if there was any problem the commission had with that 7-day plan option to purchase a vehicle. I do agree that it seems more of a civil matter, but we wanted to see your guys' opinion on that. Yeah.
I think we wanted to just determine if that was typical behavior, if any of you guys did that sort of thing. We just found it odd that there was a specific time frame and a fee if you didn't return it within that time frame, right?
No, it's like an insurance policy.
They charged, they offered to pay for a plan.
I'm sorry. There was a fee to purchase that option that you could return it within 7 days. We just found that to be really, really odd. So that's why we wanted to discuss it.
That's odd to
Not that
me.
there's any, we didn't suggest there was anything wrong. We just wanted to get your opinion.
Just in
make-
case this ever became an issue again, we wanted the commission to speak
I've
on
never
it, because we had
heard-
never seen that before, so we wanted to see what the commission.
I've never heard of an option to bring it. I've heard there are options, like CarMax uses the option. When you return it, they charge you a fee to return it, but it's nothing you have to purchase. But no, yeah, that was odd, but in the spirit of discussion, I mean, it's clearly still a civil matter, my opinion.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and change this recommendation to close.
Does the council have anything that y'all want to bring up? Anything that we need to relook at?
Not during this legal review, but just to remind the commission, there are 2 matters in the represent section at the very end of the legal report where we will have the respondents appearing to discuss
Okay.
each of those. So there's
Okay.
2 complaints, and that's in the summary, but we'll talk about it again. I just didn't want you to be surprised once we get to the regularly scheduled board meeting.
Okay, y'all just remind me what's going
Oh,
on.
I will, don't worry.
Okay.
That's all I had. I would like to circle back on the timeliness of the dealers responding. There's been some confusion. We had it at one of our companies to where you get a correspondence from the Motor Vehicle Commission and a correspondent, and it comes on a letterhead, or you get a letterhead from Consumer Affairs. And we spoke with staff about that. So I'm just, for the whole process of the spirit of the whole legal review, that being the case, it's just something we ought to consider taking a look at to make sure the communications are clear, since in light of having so many this time. I know I'm hashing up something we already hashed, but I just remember the time when there was some confusion in the communications between letterheads, and that created some issues. And there was
Yeah.
one on this particular review too as well. A guy was dealing with Consumer Affairs. He should have been dealing with Motor Vehicle Commission.
Right, and Commissioner, I'm so familiar with this. Anytime I've got a dealer or any respondent who's not responding, I always first start with, did this complaint begin with Consumer Affairs, and then get referred to us? And if so, if it's the first time it's happened with that respondent, I almost always, especially if they have a question about it, explain to them that we're 2 separate agencies. I understand it's a copy of the same complaint, but our letterhead is different. We always send a cover letter with that complaint kind of as an attachment. So yes, it's a complaint on the Attorney General's or the Attorney General Office's like letterhead or form, but it comes with our cover letter from our with our letterhead stating that this has been referred to us and we need you to respond to us. But I also I can understand why they would think that we're under the same umbrella, or I've already responded to this exact same complaint once. Yeah, we also have been working with the Attorney General and their Consumer Affairs Department. Right, well, I mean, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I was just going to mention that we endeavored to circumvent that issue that I think was brought up back in January or so. We had a long conversation with the Consumer Affairs Division at the Attorney General's office, and literally now, every day, they forward us complaints that they've gotten that they think would be best addressed by us. They still address them, but they then share any responses that they've received. So we look at every one of them. Jason, these 4 people look at every one of them, and if we all agree we need to take a look at this, then we open a separate complaint. Now, what we may want to do is look at adding some verbiage or something when we send it out as a complaint from us and say, in addition to the complaint that was filed with the Consumer Affairs Division, the Motor Vehicle Commission, I mean, we may want to look at some language like that. That might be a little difficult for the Complaints Division, but we can work that out. But I think we've diligently tried to make sure that anything that was sent to Consumer Affairs that really should have come to us, we take over and we make an effort to make these people respond.
Right, and that reminds me of another extra step that we've been taking, Taylor and I. If we don't have a response, by the time it gets to us, I actually reach out to Consumer Affairs first and ask them for a copy of the response before I even bother the dealer to ask them. So if I can get a copy of their response from the Consumer Affairs, I just use that. And then they're free to send another one. But if I have that, we're not, accusing them or even stating that they've failed to respond. We just use that same response. So
Well,
we
the
have
question,
taken measures.
If a consumer goes to Consumer Affairs and it's referred to Motor Vehicle Commission, would Consumer Affairs not respond to the consumer, let them know they passed it or something? Or they just leave it open? Or is there 2 complaints?
I think they just end up with 2 complaints.
Okay.
Consumer Affairs does their thing, and, sometimes people don't respond to them. So I think it just provides additional weight. And so we open it up as a complaint as well from the Motor Vehicle
Well, it's
Commission.
reasonable. Well, there was one case in here like that, and our company personally experienced the same thing. So
Right.
I'm very familiar with that
Right.
confusion. We're where now.
Right,
Thank
right.
you. That's all I got.
We're good. So now I'd entertain a motion to adopt the amendments to the legal. Okay.
It's both, I think, yeah. Yeah, there's only one change, so complaint number 101 is now closed instead of discussed.
That's pretty much it.
That's it.
Make a motion to accept the legal report.
Second.
The motion is that the legal committee adopt the legal report as amended, made by Chairman Roberts and seconded by Vice Chair Vaughn. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn? Aye. Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. You've adopted the legal report as amended.
Okay. We're adjourned for about 5 or 6 minutes, and we'll get started with a regular quarterly meeting. Okay, let's go ahead and get started this morning. Oh, I'm missing one? Okay, I'll wait just another moment. Thank you for that. Everyone counts. Especially today. Before we start the meeting, I want to first point out our new commissioner, Rydell. And I wished I knew more about you, but I know you're from California.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind.
Do I need to do this?
Yes, hit your mic right there.
Good morning. My name is John Rydell. I moved from California Labor Day of last year. I'm a technology executive and have a software business, and I'm here representing the consumers, as I understand it.
That's right. That's good. Welcome.
Thank
Well,
you.
Glad having you.
Yep.
So he's one of our consumer members. All right. Would you go ahead and pass out, Executive Director Lawrence, would you pass out the schedule for meetings? And I want everyone to really pay attention to it. And when you go home today, please put that in your phones or in your calendar, however method you do it, and make sure that you don't have conflicts. And if you do have conflicts, just go ahead and let us know. So if there's enough of you that do, we could possibly change a meeting in the future, but we can't change a meeting a month or less before the meeting. So we just need that heads up. So I just asked Executive Director Lawrence to pass this out so everybody would be aware. And it's mainly the quarterly meetings. The rest of it can change. All those are not dates you need to be putting in your calendar, I don't think. If you do, we'll call you and let you know that we've got something coming up, like a hearing or whatever. So that's it on there. So let's go ahead and get.
I'll email those out to everyone as well, so you won't have to keep up with the piece of paper.
Good.
And as Chairman Roberts said, it's really just 5 more meetings for October of this year, and then the 4 quarterly meetings for next year.
Yeah. And
Do we have any hearings on the radar?
We don't have anything on the radar,
And that's a nice thing.
knock wood. Yes.
We also have committee assignments that were passed out, so just, if you have any issues with that, just let me know after the meeting. But if not, that's the way it's going to be for a while. And anyway, let's go ahead and get started. It is now 9:36, and Executive Director Lawrence, let's see here, we have notice of public comments to be held at the end of the meeting, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you call roll for the, to establish the quorum?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Elam
Here.
is present. Commissioner Galvin
Here.
is present. Commissioner Kramer is present. Commissioner Levy
Here.
is present. Commissioner Norton
Here.
is present. Commissioner Owens
Here.
is present. Commissioner Rydell
Here.
is present. Commissioner Speaker
Here.
is present. Commissioner Vaughn
Here.
is present, and Chairman Roberts
Present.
is present. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Okay. Meeting notice?
Yes, sir. This meeting's date, time, and location have been noticed on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission website, included as part of this year's meeting calendar since November of 2022. Additionally, the agenda for this month's meeting has been posted on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission's website since July 17th, 2024. This meeting has also been noticed on the tn.gov website.
Very good. We just need to now adopt the agenda, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Commissioner Vaughn, so moved.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We need to now approve minutes from April 23rd quarterly commission meeting. Approve the minutes from the February 12th audit committee and rule committee meeting. Now that one, the committee approved it in February, but we had to vote and approve it as a commission, as the full commission in April. So that's why that's on there late or it looks late. And then we're going to approve the minutes to the May 29th supplemental commission meeting. And I think we can handle them all by noting the different dates. So what's your pleasure on the minutes?
Commissioner Vaughn would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from April 23rd, February 12th, and May 29th.
Do we have a second?
Commissioner Norton, second.
Any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the approval of the minutes?
Yes, sir. The motion by Commissioner Vaughn is to adopt the minutes from the April meeting, the February 12th committee meeting, and the May 29th special meeting. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Rydell?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Owens?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. You have adopted the minutes for all three meetings.
Okay. Next, we will do salesman and salesperson and dealer appeals. And would our council like to get us started?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. The first appeal that we have is for Dillian Trent. Mr. Trent here? Okay, and I believe he is with DWD Motors. Take your
We'll give him a
time.
moment to get up here with his crutches, but keep
Right.
talking. Go ahead.
Right, as he's coming up, I'll just kind of summarize why we denied the license. Let's see. Mr. Trent has criminal convictions, three of them, but only two of them are crimes of moral turpitude that are relevant to the denial. One of them is attempted bribery of a public servant, and the other is aggravated assault. And the commission has discretion to deny through February 2nd of 2033. Let's see. As far as some proof of rehabilitation or just additional efforts made by the applicant, he did provide this information. I'm just going to read it word for word. I completed True Purpose, a year-long discipleship program where I found God, turned my life around, and since then I have been out since 2017 with no issues. I have turned my life to God and haven't turned back since I am wanting to start a dealership and do things the right way. I just need to get approved for a dealer license. He already has the car lot and everything in order. Just needs that license to get it started. And I believe Mr. Trent was here at our last meeting. Was it in April? Is there anything that you want to add, Director, about that last?
Only that, I'm sorry. Can some, log off.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Is this working? The only thing I would add is that, yes, Mr. Trent appeared back in April, and he was appealing our denial of his salesman license at the time.
right. So we just, the commission did hear from him. You approved the salesperson's license, which has only been approved since April. And then I think Mr. Trent even mentioned at the end, before he left, that he wanted to get a dealer license, and it was briefly discussed. So this is pretty recent,
Okay.
just to remind you.
Sure. It's good info. Commissioners, any questions at this point? So we just heard it in April, so I don't know if anybody has anything new or different to add.
Just to confirm, we reviewed and already discussed with him these exact same transgressions for his salesperson's license.
Right. But just, there hasn't been a whole lot of time that he's had an opportunity to be a salesperson before starting the dealership.
I have a few questions. Commissioner Vaughn, so can you tell us what you've been doing since April and where you've been working? Good. Turn your.
Hit your mic.
When I came in April, I already had the dealership. I already had everything. I just didn't have enough time to get all my stuff in order for the dealer license appeal. So I figured I'd get my sales license, and I thought that it would be sales license and dealer license. sorry, these crutches. I'm supposed to be in bed, but aside from turning my life to Christ, this is the biggest decision I'm going to make. So had to come here. So I had been selling for Mo Auto Sales after the sales license. I went on to, now I sell at Road Ready, which is right next door. He has a little better cars for the customers. But yeah, I've been in sales my whole life. I started out at Kirby, door-to-door sales, you know, so that's all I know is sales, and that's all I know is car sales. I just want to start a dealership and be able to make a difference and help young men change their life, same way I changed mine. As I always say, convict turned Christian, you get Jesus change your product. You know, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I behaved as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Yes, I was 18. I was at the age, you know, to know right from wrong, but I was a child in my mind, you know. And it wasn't until I got out this last time I changed my life and, you know, put away childish things, became a man. And I just want to do the right thing. I want to help others do the right thing. And I want to be able to make a way for other people just like me.
Okay, you brought someone with you. Would he like to speak?
Yeah, I came here by myself for my dealer's license because I didn't know I needed a representative. But this is actually Jonathan Pyatt. He used to work as my manager, but now he's like my best friend. He's like, hey, I'll come up here and talk for you.
I'm Jonathan Pyatt. I got to know Dylan through church and saw basically a child grow into a man, and saw how responsible he was, how he puts others before himself. While we worked together, we were around some things that were on the up and up, and we decided to depart from that company. Dylan would do the right thing when nobody else is looking. He is, he's a poster of integrity.
Okay, thank you. Now, what is our abilities to do here today? Because I've not seen this before, where someone got a salesman's license
Right.
on the second chance rule, and then now they're looking at a dealer's license 3 months later.
Right, right. Well, in our statute, you have the full authority to deny this license due to the criminal conviction and the amount of time that has not passed since they were released from jail and/or parole. You have until 2033 to continue to deny just based on statutory authority. So you can either uphold that, you know, you can consider that you want him to be a salesperson for a certain amount of time, or maybe that doesn't matter. It's up to you. Or you can grant the dealer's license, and that would be based on the Fresh Start Act that, you know, is in a separate statute. So it's really up to you.
Commissioner Vaughn, I have another question for your friend. So you just said that you saw some things that were not on the up and up, so you both left. Was that the dealership that was?
No, ma'am, it was not.
So I need to get a better understanding from you that you were selling cars or no for the dealer that you came in with before?
For Mo Auto Sales, yes, my title was a salesman, but I was teaching him how to run a dealership pretty much. You know, I was helping him, taking him under my wing, even though I was employed by him. I just couldn't have the title of a dealership, you know.
I met Dylan at Oberyn Franklin Mitsubishi.
Mm-hmm.
We saw some unethical practices there, and we decided to leave.
Commissioner Norton, I have a question. Dylan, the gentleman you work for, he represented you in here for your salesman's license appeal. Were you totally transparent with him for him to appear here that you were going to abandon ship like you did at the end of the hearing?
Yes. He knew when he came that,
Okay.
you know, he was just helping me out. It's a good friend of mine. He actually asked, he was like, do you need me to come, buddy? I'm like, no, I think we're good. I just, you know, because I'm coming for my dealer license for a whole different dealership, which DWD Motors, that's my dealership.
I know from my seat that day it just appeared abrupt to make that declaration as soon as you left.
Well, the whole point was I was wanting to get my dealer license. But I thought that if you got your sales license, because I didn't have enough time before the appeal. So I thought if you got your sales license, and that's why I asked the question when I was here, that it worked for your dealer license also. Because I had the building, I had everything then, I just didn't have enough time to get all my ducks in a row. There was some plumbing issues that I had to do, so you had to get the inspector to come out for the state, all that good stuff. So all that's done. I've been approved by the inspector. I have everything. It was just after the inspector came, that's when I called Barry. I think Barry's back there. We've been in contact a lot. And he said it was denied. So I was kind of under the impression it was kind of just due process, that you get your sales license and you get your dealer license. You got to go for both appeals, so.
I agree with Chairman. It's just, I have cautious reservation here because of the abruptness of this and how it came about. I've got some reservation about it. I've never seen this happen this way before in the manner in which it happened. It's just like trying to get the cart before the horse, a big hurry, I don't feel comfortable at this point.
Would a person be able to come and get a dealership license before they got a salesperson's license?
Yes.
The answer was yes from the staff. So I understand the hesitation about
But the
the
reason,
order that it's happening, but if this was the first time we were seeing him, I think that's how we should consider it. If we would consider this person for a dealership license, because they're not required to get a salesperson's license before getting a dealership license, would we deny a dealership license based on the facts that are in front of us? I don't think it's relevant that we've already looked at these facts. It's fine for a salesperson. I think it's sort of a new evaluation. If we're looking at them first for the first time, would we approve the dealership license?
well, the main difference I see in the two is with the salesman's license, you would have somebody supervising you, working with you. In a dealer's role, you're sitting there dealing with the public one-on-one, and you have no supervision.
I was going to bring that up just to remind the commission of our regulatory authority is a lot higher with a salesperson, and they're held accountable by the dealership owner, the people that they work for, and we see many more salesperson application denials here. So we almost, I would say it's pretty rare compared to the amount of salesperson appeals that we get when it comes to dealers. So you just want to consider some different factors when you're considering granting a dealer license.
Yeah.
Because they answer to no one except for us
That's right.
when there's a problem.
So I would be for, 9 more months, which would make it 12 months, that he could reapply for the dealer's license. I just can't be for it for today.
Commissioner Galvin, I remember you last time, and we did vote for you as to get your salesman's license. And then, if I'm not mistaken, out of the blue, you mentioned, when can I get my dealer license? Well, that sort of blew me away because I'm wondering, do you really want your sales license or do you want a dealer license? And now you're telling me that your former boss, before you came into the meeting last time, you guys already agreed that, hey, I'm just here to get a dealer license, but I'm just going to go through the steps. Well, is that really honest to us, to the commissioners? You should have said that up front from the very beginning. Now, I understand you want to get a dealer license. I get it, but, I've been in business for 44 years, and it took me a while to become a dealer principal, and there's a lot in stake from a salesperson to a dealer. And what you're doing in 3 months, I don't know if it's the right way to do it, like Chairman Roberts says. I think you need time to grow, to learn, know the system, but to me, the honesty, you should have told us back then, I'm here to get a dealer's license, but I understand what you said here, and I get it. You thought it was both. But to me, I think we just need to wait a little bit longer before we can accept.
If I may say something, I might have shot myself in the foot by coming here for the sales license first, which I was a salesman by title at Mo's, and I did sell cars for Mo, and I helped him get his dealership up and running. But the only reason I did that is because when I spoke to the lady on the phone for the dealer commission, I said, hey, I don't have all my stuff in order. Is sales license and dealer license same thing? And she basically said, yes, that you can get your sales license and then you get approved, so it's the same thing as the dealer license. So that's the whole reason I even went here, which I was getting my sales license. You got to have a sales license because it's under a LLC, so I have to have my sales license regardless. And then, like I said, I might have shot myself in the foot rather than getting a dealer license. But honestly, if I'm, so, I think kind of what this gentleman said here is if I would have came originally for the dealer license, all you guys, everyone approved me, I was approved. So, it was more of just the only reason I came here to get my sales license first is because the lady on the phone said, yes, you're good either way. And in all honesty, too, I did say, hey, I am here to get my dealer's license also. And I said that at the same time. So,
Let me ask you,
But I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure, though, that you can't assume that this commission would have approved you for a dealer's license just because they did on a salesman's license, because the way I see it, I'm only speaking for me, that you would have supervision as a salesperson that you won't have as a dealer.
well, all my old bosses will be working for me. They'll be working as my finance guys, my general managers, so they'll still be guiding me, and
They
directing
may
me.
be a little support, but they don't have the ability to rein you in if your thinking gets off.
That's God's, that's
Yeah.
why I go
Yeah.
by, if God ain't gonna
That's
bless it,
right.
I don't want it. But I understand your,
Yeah.
So let me ask you another question.
Yes, sir.
Once you were granted the salesman's license, you went back to your old place with your old boss, and how long did you work there before you decided, I'm not going to work there, I'm going to go ahead and start my own business?
I've been there pretty much the whole time. The business, I already had the building and everything already. Like I said, it was some plumbing that I had to fix and everything before the state could come in and approve it. So it was a time restraint. But I was still working for Mo. I still help Mo. I still sell Mo's cars for him. I still have a license with Mo.
But you're no longer working for Mo right now, correct?
Well, technically, I help Mo, and there's a, right next door, it's Road Ready Auto. They work together. They're foreigners, so they're all connected, I help sell both their cars.
So your license is with which dealer?
As of right now, I'm licensed with Road Ready, which is right next door, which Mo decided he doesn't want to deal with banks. He just wants to do cash cars. But Mo sells his cars to the Road Ready. So they're right next door neighbors. So it's Mo Auto Sales, Road Ready, DWD. So that's what I'm saying. There's no bad blood.
You need 9 months.
He was going to come here.
I feel strongly about the 9 months. We look at it in 9 months. Does that need to be in a motion?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a
Commissioner Vaughn,
motion.
go ahead.
You go
George. Commissioner Vaughn, I'd like to make a motion that we uphold the denial.
Commissioner Orton, second.
Any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the vote?
Yes, sir. The motion is to uphold the denial. Commissioner Levy?
No.
Votes no. Commissioner Elam?
Yes.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Rydell?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
No.
Votes no. Commissioner Owens? Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. The motion carries.
Can I ask a- Thank you. Can I just ask a quick question? Just based on all of your statements, I just want to clarify, did you ever sell cars before you came and got your salesperson's license in April for anybody?
No, I was at BDC. I was the BDC manager at Old Ben Franklin.
Okay.
That's how I met Jonathan.
But you
Pye.
never sold for Moe's before you actually were granted?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
And I apologize, Jason has so astutely corrected me. The motion does not carry. We do not have 9 votes for the denial, since we had 2 noes. Is that right?
It's not about setting a quorum. You still have a vote.
It's just a majority, isn't it?
It's a majority of the
It's gotta be a
Quorum.
My apologies.
It's not a quorum issue.
Okay, my apologies.
Side.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not once you get established a quorum, that's one thing, then the vote can be less than the quorum number. Okay. It's all right. But he can come back up and appeal it.
Yes,
How
and
soon?
Does the motion clarify? I didn't take notes.
I think the motion was just to uphold the denial. I know that the chairman mentioned 9 months. If I might just make a couple of comments. I know, and I think Erica has clarified that you were not selling prior to the time that your salesman license was issued. Please make sure, and we will give you contact phone numbers for all of us. I am not clear at all who you spoke to. If you had called, we only have a couple of women that you could have spoken to, and no one on my staff would have said that, yeah, that's the way you do it, that they're one and the same, because they're not. Sometimes our customer service center fields calls. It's possible. I'm not saying that you're not accurate in what you were told. I'm just saying, please make sure that you talk to someone who actually is on the commission, and because you absolutely have to be licensed as a salesperson if you do anything to effectuate the sale of a motor vehicle. And I just want to make sure that we were clear on that did not happen when you were assisting these other gentlemen who had their own dealerships. So if you have any questions.
I made it very clear to Mo, because I didn't have my sales license, and that he would have to help me get a sales license. So I made it very clear to him, and I didn't sell any cars because I know it's a fine for every car you sell. So I made it very clear to that.
Okay, thank you.
All I've tried to do is jump through the hoops and do everything I can to just become, a productive member in society and try and help others. I've been out almost 10 years, no incident. I completely understand you guys' reserve, but, I've been around the car business for almost 10 years, so.
Yeah.
And Mr. Trent, just to answer, I think it was your question, when can you apply again? And we can't set any time limit on that. You're free to apply.
I'll
when-
be here at the next appeal.
Yeah, so we
I'll be
meet
here at every
quarterly.
appeal till they say yes.
Okay. So we meet in October, we meet in January, April, July, and so forth.
Yeah.
And I apologize, one last comment. I just want to make sure that, I know that you're working for a different dealership now. Please make sure that you have transferred.
I've already
your-
done that. I
your
got my
license.
sales license, yes, ma'am.
Okay, just click. It can only be used at that specific dealership, not at Moe's.
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
All right. And
Okay,
I'll get
So what I meant is Mo and Road Ready Auto, same way dealers sell cars back and forth, dealer to dealer, that's the same thing. If Mo has a car, he'll sell it to Road Ready. I talk to Mo every day, we're next door neighbors. But my sales license is for Road Ready. I sell cars at Road Ready.
Well, thank you for appearing. We'll see you the next time, if that's what you want to do, okay?
Well, yeah, when is the next one?
October.
October 29th.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Next is Union Cars and Service. Erica?
sorry, Chairman.
Yes.
Are we ready for the
Yes, the next one is
Okay.
Union Cars and Service Incorporated.
Correct, and I believe the applicant is, and I apologize if I pronounce this wrong, Mahanpur?
Mahanpur, yes, ma'am.
Oh, I was close. Okay, so this was a application for a dealer license, and it was denied based on, let's see, let me find my rule book here. A rule that requires a business to be separate and apart from any other business, or a dealer to be separate and apart physically in a building from any other business, and also that dealer facility cannot have residential quarters in it. So we denied it based on the non-compliance with that rule. There's pictures in your paperwork there. There's an apartment complex or apartment residential housing attached to the building that the dealer facility will be in. So it's not based on a criminal conviction or a Fresh Start Act issue. It's totally different, so.
So does it comply now?
I don't believe so. I think that unless I don't have that information. Jason? Right, we don't have any, but you can talk to the applicant about
Okay.
that.
Okay, you want to explain?
So I have some paper if you want to see the picture.
You can pass
It's
it
very
out.
clear, yeah.
Erica, I guess I'm wondering why it's here, why he's appealing if it's the rule about the facility.
Just, we allow any denials, they can appeal.
Okay.
And it's just, the commission will always have the discretion to, to go beyond the initial denial and approve it if they so choose.
So explain what I'm looking at. The red dot on here says that's the building that you're using?
That's the office building. It's a 929 Matikstown Road. It's a Union Cars and Service office. And the building, which is partially attached to the office, it's a two-story building. And that's a completely a different address. It's a 172 Cobble Lane.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a completely different address. The building, the parking is different. And
But it's connected by a little
it's a
piece.
partially
It's just
connected.
like it looks like it might be 3, 4, 5 foot.
Correct. Might be 10 feet.
Can you take that out?
No.
Is it a
It's
support
permanently
wall?
connected to the building.
Okay. Here, just
Commissioner
take it
Vaughn,
out.
I've got a question. Is there access from the building where, the residential building and the other building? Can you
No,
access
there
between the
is
two?
nothing. It's completely different address, different building. It's that building is the residential building. It's a 172 Cobble Lane, but the Union Cars and Service office is a 929 Matikstown Road. So it is completely a different building. The parking is different. Especially my the office inventory is like completely on the back side. Nobody has access on those sites, and even my office also has two entrances. One entrance is to the parking lot, like it's like a big parking lot for the boat, that building, and my office, but it's completely different. They has their own parking,
Well,
and
I'm not concerned about the parking as much as
Okay.
I'm concerned about, can you access one building? Can you go through? the
No,
building?
it's
You
completely.
have to go outside
No,
to
it's
go?
completely different. Like the entrance of these, like probably 100 feet far. So they have nothing to deal with the building.
We have a picture of a door, so there's not a single door that can lead from the residential area or common area to the dealership building?
No. There is a door inside my office. So that was a storage building. I didn't know that. It was closed by the owner. So, and I don't know. But later on, when I called after the inspector, they came and inspected, I called, they said it's a storage, you can see it, I'm gonna give you the key, you can see and see everything is, but it was a storage, they have some staff, the previous office staff, just they store it, so I didn't ask to give me that key. So there is nothing, it's completely different. So it says there is no access between two buildings. There is nothing. A different address, different building, no access.
How are they connected? I mean, is it just a wall, like one single wall that connects these buildings?
Yeah, it's connected
With
just
no,
like, yeah,
no
yeah.
opening, no door, no lock?
Nothing,
Okay.
nothing. You can see anytime you can come and see. The owner said, I provide you the key and you have it. So because of there were some staff inside that storage, I didn't ask to give me that key because I didn't need it. But still, it's a storage part of my office, and it's completely different. I mean, there is no access between two buildings.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand why. Is it a load-bearing wall? What's the purpose of it being connected?
I don't know. This
I
was,
realize you can't walk, what you're saying, you can't walk from one building to the other
no, you cannot
inside.
walk. Yeah,
You have to
that's-
go outside to go to the other
yeah,
building.
correct.
I get that, but I don't understand why you couldn't take that out if it's not a load-bearing wall and it would just made all the conformity right then and there.
It's
Does
an
it look
old,
like it is?
yeah, it's an old building. It's already, built. I
From
don't
the
know
air,
the
it looked
purpose
different.
why they connected to each other in the past.
So is it a shared wall?
It's like connected to buildings, like 5 or 10 feet attached to. That's a 2-story and this 1-story building. It's
They
like
share a wall. If you were
different
to put a
elevation.
hole in that wall, is there another wall? Or is there just one? If you put a hole in that wall, are you in the other building?
There is a wall. I think it's attached to other building. That wall it's a shared wall for the two building.
It looks like it just butts up against the other building in the picture.
Yeah, at the corner, at very corner of two buildings.
So are
attached.
there any other businesses in this? So this is a
No,
residence?
there is nothing.
A storage building, and then an office? Would that be correct?
Yeah, this storage is part of my office, but it's completely part of this office, but it was closed, blocked. So the owner said, I have some, can I keep this one with me? I told him, okay, I don't need it. So I didn't know that. If I knew that, I'm gonna,
So these two buildings, if you can see it, the one that's got the windows,
No, that's completely my
That's an
office.
office.
No, that's completely my office.
so yes,
Nobody
it is
has-
your office?
Yeah.
So then this building is storage, but there's...
No, that's also my office.
Okay, so all that is just one piece?
Yeah, that's one piece.
Okay, and then it
Yeah,
stops
yeah,
here?
yeah, the
And then
corners.
that's a residence?
Yeah, that's the resident building.
Erica and Taylor, let me ask you a little advice on this. Would we need to send somebody out to verify that you can't get from one building to the other? And if we approve this, would we be setting a precedence?
Well, I mean, that was something I was just going to remind the commission. If we make an exception to a clear rule that states, quote, "The structure or structures must be physically apart from any other business and shall not include a private residence of any sort," I mean, we would have to answer for that if somebody else came and we denied them.
That's
for
what
the
I'm
same
saying.
reason.
I'm worried about that precedence.
So there's that. And then, to answer your first question, we could send somebody out to re-verify, but there has been a full inspection, which led to the denial in the first place. But if there was any confusion, I can't answer to that. Maybe there was some. So either way, it sounds like the issue can't be fixed.
Okay, there's a gentleman that's with you that wants to speak.
Based on the section they send me and denied based of this section, the motor vehicle 096-01-21 motor vehicle facility minimum requirements. Even based on this one, it meets the requirements. So the first part, the facility must be physically separate and apart from any other businesses and shall not include any residence, tenant, or temporary stand. The facility may be connected to another business facility provided there is a permanent wall from floor to ceiling between the two businesses and the motor vehicle or recreational vehicle facility has a separate outside entrance and exit. Any doors conjoining the businesses shall be secured and locked from the interior and a nature that is satisfactory to the Commission. So still, based on this section, it meets the requirements. It does connect it to another building, but there is nothing connected between, there is no access between these two buildings.
And also there was two other businesses.
Hang on. State who you are and what you have to do with this.
Yes, sorry. Okay. Honorable gentlemen, ladies, my
Okay.
name is Parvez Mirzai. This is my best friend. We've known. Sorry. He forgot to mention that prior to his union cars that he's about to open, there were two other businesses before that, All Stars Auto Parts and Discount Auto Salvage. And now he wants to get union cars auto sales in this. Just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Were either of those dealerships, did they sell cars? Or are they like an auto parts?
It was a salvage
Okay,
discount.
so they
auto
have different
salvage.
rules,
Yeah,
just so you
different, yeah.
know.
It wasn't
and-
the dealer.
And just to, I want to make sure the commission understands the quote that I just gave you, the site was from our statute, just to clarify a little bit more, our
Okay.
rule, which is 0960-01-.21, which relates to dealer facilities. In addition to stating the facility must be physically separate and apart from any other businesses and shall not include any residents, it goes in more detail and states that the facility may be connected to another business facility, provided there is a permanent wall from floor to ceiling between the two businesses, but it doesn't allow for it to be connected to a residence. So I want to make sure that that's,
Is there a residence?
the apartments.
So it adjoins it.
It's not two businesses,
Okay.
which may be okay. It's a business, which is the dealership, and a residence or residences.
I have a question. I think it'll clear it up. Does the business and the residence have two separate addresses?
Yes,
They do.
that's what he said.
And also, it doesn't business if the business is connected to a residential area. So there is nothing in this code. So unless we cannot say that.
Well, the section you're relying upon requires it to be two businesses, and it's not two businesses. So the issue you have is you have a business and you have a residence. It is two separate addresses, though.
Yeah.
But is the issue but they're connected, and that's the issue. So if it were to just cut a 1-foot wall, since it's not doing anything, cut the roof, add another wall, is there an issue?
As long as the commission interprets that to be separate and apart. Unfortunately, we don't have any clarification regarding addresses or not. That's not what our rule states. It for whatever reason, was chosen to use the wording of it must be separate and apart. So, yeah, there is some freedom in how you want to interpret that, but we want to make sure we're consistent backwards and forwards on how we handle it.
Counselors, I just want to make sure that you don't let us set precedents and treat one person different than another and allow something that we have to approve everybody that comes up here based on what we do today.
And I'll say, I think something further to consider is applications that have been denied in the past for the same reason. This would be creating a problem backwards and forwards as well.
Now, that's what I wanted to hear. I mean, not wanted to hear, but that clears things up for me.
I think the fact that it's separate addresses helps, but the fact that they're physically connected, I think, is where we get the problem with the statute. So the simple fix is to decouple
They
them.
just need to disconnect them,
And then there's no issue.
and there's no issue. Because it's squarely that way. Sir,
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to point out, my friend served with the United States Army in Afghanistan as a good deed, as a appreciation for helping the United States Army in Afghanistan. He came to United States, they brought him here after the Taliban took over. In all honesty, as the other gentleman said, he just wants to serve his Lawrenceburg community, having this dealership and start a new life, like the founders say, land of opportunity, and I believe in it because I've been here a long time. And now he wants to start a business.
well, I appreciate your sentiments, and I appreciate his service, but we've got to look after the whole state and keep things fair here.
Yes.
And the rules are the rules, and we just can't jeopardize what we've got.
I absolutely agree
going
with you,
on
Mr.
here.
Chairman, and you're more than welcome to send somebody to look at this, that for some reason that this building is so old and they've just connected it like that. And I don't know whether it was a design or whatever, but anybody can come and look at it, that there's no connection absolutely whatsoever between these buildings, apart from the fact that they are connected like this.
Well, I'm going to stand firm myself, speaking only for myself. You've got to find a way to separate those buildings. You've got to modify it. You've got to do something. That's how I feel.
Commissioner Norton, curiosity that, I mean, look at the pictures. Is everything else compliance for, required for a dealership? Okay.
Okay, I have one more question. The apartments, is that a separate business? Are they, like, does somebody own that part and rent out every single one under a business name? Or do you just have family members that live there? Explain to us what the apartments are.
I don't know, but that's completely different.
So you have no ownership in the apartments?
No, no.
Do you live
no.
there?
No. I just rent this building for my office.
I mean, we really want to find a way to help you, but our
Okay.
hands are kind of
Thank you, sir.
tied on the fact that the legal description doesn't meet what we're allowed to do without affecting and changing all the rules for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. You can decide. You know better than everyone. So you,
Okay,
as I see the only thing that I know, the code that they send me, the commission office denied because of this code. When I see this one, I said, based on this one, it meets the all requirements as per my understanding, based on this code. So that's why I denied. And now it's up to you.
Well, our council sees it differently, and I'm going to support them in this decision.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I was just pointing out that this apartment, residence apartment, in fact, really is a business. It's belonged to a landlord, which is another business. So coming back to the honorable lady's point, reading from the code, it is attached technically to another business. His business is Union's Cars, that he has this office, and the other side is another business, which is an apartment and belong to a landlord having those trailers and a business. Just
Okay, thank you for your comment.
point out.
Okay. I make a motion we deny it based on the legal description for having a license at that location.
I second the motion.
Any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for this vote?
Yes, sir. The motion is to uphold the denial of licensure for union cars based on the building requirements. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn? Votes aye. Commissioner Rydell?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Owens? Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. The motion passes.
If you could find a way to fix that wall and separate those buildings, then you come back and see us.
Okay?
Okay? Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, next is Mitchell Altergott.
Right, is Mr. Altergott here? Okay, you can come on up to the podium, and I'll just summarize this denial and the reasons for it to the commission. So the applicant was convicted of four crimes, only two of which were crimes of moral turpitude. So those are the only ones relevant. One of them was possession with the intent to sell, Schedule 4 drugs. The second is possession with the intent to sell THC less than 200 grams. The commission has the ability to deny this applicant through May 3rd of 2026. I don't have any information that the applicant has provided us regarding rehabilitation or extra efforts made, but the commission's welcome to ask about those.
Okay. Commissioners, got any questions? Okay, let's hear from you. Sorry about that.
I did try to attach a few things of accomplishment. I'm actually from Green Bay, Wisconsin, so
Okay.
I moved here. My girlfriend just got into Vanderbilt for nursing school, so that's what brought us here. It's also cold up there, so I don't mind the change. But I have here a letter of recommendation from my old general manager at a large dealer in Wisconsin called Bergstrom, where I worked at for 2 years before that. Also earning Mark of Excellence, which is accomplishment through GM for good sales. I have Jackie Nitschke Center treatment. I actually did inpatient, graduated from that. I have a letter there. I also went back to school, and I have an unofficial transcript from NWTC, Northeast Wisconsin Technical College, with a 3.769 GPA. Just a note, during high school, obviously that was kind of around the time. I'm 25 now. I think I got charged when I was 18. I graduated with a 1.8 GPA, and yeah, so those are a few accomplishments I've made. Also getting into the gym and getting into sales changed my life, so that's why I'm here. But I would be more than happy to pass this around.
The letters? Okay.
Yeah.
If you'd like to, you can pass them around. Start on this end, if you don't mind. Commissioner Levy will pass it down. Any questions while we're passing around the material?
Commissioner Vaughn, I've got a few questions. Can you tell us a little bit more about your charges, like what happened? Explain to us
Yeah.
how that's all came about.
Well, when I was younger throughout high school, I got into drugs and alcohol. So it was kind of, I would say, a 4-year progression of that. And then I started selling it. Partying basically was the main thing. I served 8 months. I think I was sentenced to 10 months. I served 8 months with good time. And after I got out, I got into treatment. I've been sober ever since. Haven't gotten into any legal trouble. Then I decided to go back into school to kind of see, was it my actual skill set that led me to a 1.8 GPA, or can I apply myself and become a better person? And then that was for a marketing degree. I got into sales while I was doing that and loved the interaction with people. I worked for a place called Cellcom, which is like a Verizon. Did well there, and then one of my coworkers went to car sales, and that kind of led me into car sales. I did very well there, and it allowed me financial freedom where I
My concern is more for the charges and what happened since then. And if you had to make restitution, did you do that? Or did you follow a program? Are you still currently in a program? And then one more question will be, are you still in contact with the people that you were running with? Because we've run into this several times.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And it's usually around that same age and things like that. So that's more
Yeah.
of my concern.
So for like, you're saying like probation and that sort of thing?
Yes. So
Yeah,
you
that's all
never-
completed. I
Okay.
did, I was sentenced to 4 years, completed early after 2. I'm in a whole new state. I literally know no one here. And even when I was there, obviously that's a thing. You have to separate yourself from your old friends. So I have done that and, yeah,
And you haven't had any trouble since then?
no ma'am.
Okay. No further.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
We hear from his guest.
Yeah, my name's Kyle. I'm one of the sales managers over here at Darrell Walter Beauty GMC, where I hired Mitch. When we went through the interview process, I do all our hiring at the dealership. He basically explained to me, I did not ask any questions about his prior history, if he had any prior history in terms of legal issues. But he was very open and honest about it. I had reached out to his sales managers and general manager up at Bergstrom Automotive Group in Green Bay, Wisconsin, which he came from, and everybody said that he was an outstanding team member and a great asset to their team, and I wanted him to I wanted our team to go ahead and hire him. Was not aware of the 5-year, I guess, protocol that is in there for any type of legal issues. I had not run into that in the 4 years that I had been hiring over here. And but it probably wouldn't have mattered. I would have been here to appeal him. He's been a great asset to our team. Since we hired him and found that out from the denial of the sales license, he's been working as a porter with our service department and helping out our service department, so he's not been doing anything as opposed to sales, no demos, trade-ins, working numbers, nothing to do with customers, just basically being a porter.
Okay.
And he has done everything that he's been asked to do and been a great asset to our team in that part as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the sales license.
Second, Commissioner Norton.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the approval? Or
The motion
disapproval?
is to approve licensure made by Commissioner Vaughn and seconded by Commissioner Norton. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton? Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Rydell?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer? Votes aye. Commissioner Owens?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. Altergott, your license has been approved, and you will get an electronic copy of that emailed to the dealership today, and then we will mail out the actual hard copy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Guys, appreciate it.
Okay, next is Joshua McDonald. Would you talk to us about him?
Yes. Okay. So Mr. McDonald applied for a salesperson's application. It was denied based on a criminal conviction of 4 counts of wire fraud. The commission has the ability to deny this applicant through November of 2031. The judgment for the 4 counts of wire fraud was just entered in August of 2021. I don't have any details about it, so I would just recommend the commission discuss what led to the wire fraud, what it's about, and get a lot of information about that before making their decision.
Okay.
And then also the defendant was ordered to pay restitution in the amount of $350,000 or $350,585 to, I think, about 10 non-public victims, and that's the information that I have about that.
Wow.
I also got just this morning 3 reference letters that Mr. McDonald provided. One is from his aunt. One is from a friend of 4 years who was also his roommate for 6 months. And then one from his father, I believe. Oh, and I'm sorry, a 4th one is from a close friend. So if you want to see these or if you want me to read them, let me know.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know that you had them. Sorry about that.
Mr. McDonald, this is quite a bit of money. You want to talk to us about what led up to this happening?
For sure. I'll give you a little bit of my background. I think
Okay.
that's important. Thank you for your time and consideration as well. Born and raised in Tennessee, Loudon, Tennessee, right above Chattanooga. Raised in a good Christian family, homeschooled throughout my entire education and upbringing. Did national speech and debate. Was just blessed to have a good country, raising, working multiple part-time jobs. Then went to Lee University, which is a Christian university right above Chattanooga in Cleveland, Tennessee. Really just wasn't feeling like I was getting the true education that my potential could, bring. I was majoring in PR and international business. I then moved to Los Angeles, California to do artist management and had a passion for music, and I still do. And went through just some really hard circumstances. I won't go into detail, but I was a victim of kidnapping, almost lost my life, and it kind of just really reset just like a focus of what I wanted to do. Los Angeles wasn't really a positive place. It was, a dark atmosphere. So I went back to school and, went through counseling and spent time with support from family, which then led me to, decide, okay, what am I going to do? I got into cryptocurrency, which this is back in 2017, 18. So, had always been interested in a way to, get an additional source of income. Started trading my own funds that I had saved from work. And then one day I was speaking with a friend, and he's, we were just comparing how much we were making in the stock market. And I told him I was doing, 10, 20%, sometimes monthly, sometimes, quarterly. And he's like, oh, well, what if I bring you investors? And mind you, I didn't have an LLC. I'd never pursued, really anything like that other than managing artists. So I did a little bit of research. I got what's called a CPO license, which is a commodity pool operator license with the NFA, which is the National Futures Association, which is also under the CFTC, which is the Commission, Federal Trade Commission, and then also under the SEC. And, I did the most research that I could at the age of, I think I was about 22. I'll be 30 in October, so I'm currently 29. And I, started an LLC. I put together purchase agreement or contracts and NDAs, and he referred clients to myself and, disclosed, that I would be taking on their investments, and I actually traded my own funds with them. So I thought that I was doing everything within the legal ramifications or structure that I was supposed to, but I wasn't. So, I was new into trading. Trading went bad, not immediate, but over a few months. It was probably about a 6 to 8 month period. I actually made the clients a substantial amount of money. A lot of them withdrew funds. It was a very open and transparent relationship. But then I lost it all, including my own funds. It was about $320,000 to $350,000 total of investments that were lost. And there were just words exchanged. Obviously the clients were upset, but they understood, the risk at the time. And, obviously I wasn't happy about it myself, not only losing my own funds, but the clients. So moved on, with life, got just a regular full-time job, and then moved back to California because I was dating someone. We got back together. That was really just the best thing for me financially, to move in with her. And then when we were in Texas, I woke up one morning.
Can you tell me how long ago that was? Give us timelines.
Yeah, sorry. It feels like forever going away. So I first moved to Los Angeles when I was 21, which I think is about 2016. And then around 2017 to 18 would have been when I took those investments. And then up until 2019, I moved on with my life. I was never Well, I'll tell you this. When I was in Texas, I woke up one morning and the FBI was at the door. And I had no idea what it was for. That, you know, and mind you, I've no criminal history or anything before, you know. Agents completely surrounded the house. I got arrested. I didn't know what it was for until I got taken into the marshals. And when they put the docket in front of me, it had my old company name. And I was like, oh, this has to do with the investments. Mind you, I was never sued civilly, never got any type of disclosure or notice. To this day, was never aware of that. And I think that shows in federal records and public record. And this was right before COVID. I can't remember exactly when COVID started, but it was about a month to 2 months before it went national. And I was released on supervised bond. I had to release all of my, you know, firearms. I had to release my passport. And I moved in with my girlfriend's parents at the time. And I was on supervision. And then COVID happened and everything shut down. And so with approval, I was able to move to Florida because my girlfriend had a job. She's a psychologist at the time. I was dating her. And my court date just kept getting delayed. Now, mind you, I hadn't even had a sentencing hearing. I hadn't had any type of legal proceeding. So I was just in lull and waiting. Everything was shut down. I worked with one of my friends that sold medical supplies with Merck Pharmaceuticals and a bunch of other hospitals. So it was a great opportunity for me to make, you know, money and work a good, legitimate job. And then May of 2021, I got called in for a bond hearing, and you know, didn't have any money, had a public defender, and my public defender said you can go to trial and risk 3 to 5 years of sentencing, or you can take a plea deal. And he kind of scared me, saying that the feds have a 97% success rate on conviction, and I didn't feel like I would be able to defend myself properly. Even though I had as much records and stuff. I didn't feel like I would have good legal representation, if that makes sense. And so I took the plea deal, and I got sentenced to 27 months in federal prison, and without notice, my bond got revoked, and I lost everything, and I went to prison. And so I don't really talk about it.
Did you make restitution?
So part of the 27 months was $350,000 in federal restitution, and I actually have a $1.3 million in civil, which I don't even know how really that works. I think it's just penalties with license. And so 10% of my monthly income, whatever employment, automatically I send to the courts. And then, yeah, so I'm currently on federal supervision. So I served about 24 months, and I got COVID in jail, and Congress passed an act that allows you to go home under certain circumstances because I was a low risk, and I finished the rest on house arrest. I was supervised through a halfway house in Knoxville, Tennessee, went to counseling, you know, church every Sunday, just reestablishing with family. I couldn't get a job for the first 3 months just because, you know, I had the felony record. Target, Walmart, Bath and Body Works all hired me on the spot, but then when they ran the background check, it came up, and I wasn't able to get a job. So, by the grace of God, I was able to get a job at a retail store in Knoxville called J. Crew, but they only had about 15 hours, so I worked part-time there. And then it got slow, so they let me go, and they kept management and the more seasoned salespeople. So complete rehabilitation, obviously, spending time in federal prison. Small town kid from Tennessee, that was very shocking. And learned structure, discipline, worked out every day, got closer with God, with my family, played a lot of chess, read a lot of books, and just, you know, planning on what I was gonna do, you know, productively when I got out. And so when I got home, and when I lost my job at J. Crew, this is my manager, Jeff, I just picked up the phone, called the dealership because it was right next to the apartment complex where I live, and I said, hey, I need a job, you know, can I come in for an interview? I just got denied at Target, you know, but I have a great resume. And I walked across the street and sat down with all the managers, and they hired me on the spot. Went through drug tests, passed it, went through background check, passed it. Nothing came up on the background check. So, you know, I got hired, and you know, then when I applied for my salesman license and was waiting, it got denied. And then that's when I notified Jeff, and we sat down and had a conversation, and I went even deeper into my personal story and, and I said I'd like to appeal, and him and the dealership agreed to support me in today. So I would just like to say before questions, it's been a really, really long journey, and for the first time in my life, I feel like I have an opportunity. And
Let me ask you this before I turn it over to the other commissioners for questions. They let you move from one state to another with charges and not ever having gone to court yet.
correct, yeah. So it was a federal case,
Okay.
and I was released on pretrial supervision because at that time everything was still pending, and I had a probation officer that supervised. I would have to check in with them every Friday. I've had supervision since 2019, and still do to this day. I was also sentenced on top of the 27 months and the restitution, 3 years of federal probation, which I've completed. March will be the second year, and I'll only have a year left. I do a monthly report every month with my probation officer. She knows where I live. She has full access, at any time to make a visit. So my life is very structured. I'm just looking for a good, honest job that I can rebuild my life as a 30-year-old man, and eventually one day have a family, so.
And my last question is, I've already asked this, I can't remember what you said.
I apologize.
About the restitution.
Yes.
You made it?
No, I'm chipping away at it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought that was a mighty large amount.
Yeah, it was honestly a really big shock because I got sentenced and served and restitution. I just, mind you, nothing, no lawsuits, nothing civilly before. It was just United States of America versus Josh McDonald. I was very much made an example, but I take full responsibility. I wish I had done more research. I think the license that I needed was a Series 7 and 36, which I think would have been about $500 to $1,500, but I honestly didn't think that I needed it, and I wish I had it, so.
So how much have you paid of the restitution? It couldn't be much because you haven't had much
A few
jobs.
$1,000s maybe, yeah.
How much?
A few $1,000s maybe.
Yeah.
Mind you, my federal restitution payments didn't start until after I got out. And so it's just 10%. I mean, I could pay more, but by the time taxes and tithe and 10%, there's not.
So there's no deadline to have to go back to prison if as long as you're paying on it actively.
Yeah, so I think they call it poor man's restitution past a point. Once I'm off federal supervision, it goes civil, and I still have to pay it. But
Okay.
you don't go back to jail just because you're poor and you can't pay restitution, as long as you keep up your payments,
Okay.
is to my understanding. I'm still kind of figuring it out and just chipping away and make sure I'm on time. And I've been on time every payment, and I've never been in trouble since. I could even get a recommendation letter from my probation officer. She's aware of, my entire pursuit of everything. So just looking for a new chance.
Do we want to hear from the support person first? Okay. If you would like to address us and.
Yeah, hello, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Jeff Alexander. I'm the pre-owned sales manager over at Grayson BMW. I've known this man for about 6 months. He's got a ton of potential. He's a good person. He comes to work on time, stays late, does whatever we ask him to do. His customer service has been fantastic before we got this news. Some of you guys are in the business, I see, and that's nice. It's my day off today, and we know how rare that is, and how seldom that is. And plus, I have a laundry list of other things to do. But I chose to come up here and speak on his behalf. He comes from a great family. I've had a pleasure meeting his supportive cast, his sister, his mother, his father. He's a good kid. I feel like he deserves a second chance. It's not a waste. He's a load of talent. He's a dynamic speaker. Sitting up here talking the way he is and letting it all out. It's pretty awesome, I think. But anyway, I'm just here to it's not a waste of a second chance. This guy's livelihood is right here, right now. I think he's been pretty nervous all morning. He definitely wants a second chance. He wants to make things right. Short time I've known him, I believe that's true. That's all I got.
Will you be his immediate supervisor?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I have been. You know, we have a great team of good people that work at our store. So he's got everything in place to really have a new beginning.
Okay, commissioners, questions?
I make a motion to grant him his license.
Second, Commissioner Galvin.
Any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the vote?
Yes, sir. The motion is to approve licensure made by Commissioner Norton and seconded by Commissioner Galvin. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin? Aye. Votes aye. Commissioner Norton? Aye. Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn? Aye. Votes aye. Commissioner Rydell?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Owens?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. McDonald, your license will be issued today. You'll get an electronic copy, or the dealer will, and then we'll mail your hard copy in the mail. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Okay, next,
All right.
Andrea Rudd.
Right, that's our final one. Is Miss Rudd here? Okay. So we denied Miss Rudd's salesperson application based on convictions of tax evasion and conspiracy. The judgment for those convictions was entered in 2017. The commission has the discretion to deny licensure through September of 2033. And I just want to mention that the applicant was also ordered to make restitution in the amount of $15,766,417, as well as forfeit their interest in a certain property that was, I think, worth near 5.5 million. So you may want to address whether those things have been complied with. And the restitution specifically was supposed to be made in a lump sum payment due immediately.
And what was that last, what you just said?
The applicant was supposed to surrender interest in a property worth a little over 5 million, but it doesn't give me any more detail about that.
Okay. Wow, this is the largest number I've seen. Anyway, we'd like to hear from you at this point.
Actually, my company was raided by the FBI in 2014. I owned 37 different companies, and everything went really bad. I used to work with Governor Haslam here and passed a lot of bills actually for the Department of Commerce and Insurance to regulate the employee leasing industry. Governor Haslam's family company, which was Pilot Corporation, was raided by the FBI. 1 month later, they raided my company and tried to tie me into the Haslam Corporations. That was in 14. May of 14, he was raided Valentine's Day of 14. There was no my companies being involved with his whatsoever. The FBI couldn't find anything illegal in my company except for one transaction. That one transaction, till this day, I hate. And it's where I paid my ex-husband $15 million to settle my divorce back in 2009. I had went to the IRS at the time. The IRS said there's no criminal wrongdoing. I was paying $100,000 a month back to the IRS on a payment plan. The FBI, in 2017, the judge had finally said, all right, there's nothing wrong with this company. You've raided her. Let's close this case. That's when the FBI said, yeah, this one transaction is wrong. Even though the IRS found no criminal wrongdoing, the FBI said it was criminally wrong. So what I did is I had moved, I didn't, my CFO did at the time, $15 million to pay it from an S corporation to an LLC, so it was taxed differently. I take responsibility. I own the companies. I should have known better. I am ordered to pay restitution, kind of like the young man before us. It does say one lump sum if I had had the money. I did not at that point in time, because when my company was raided, I started losing clients left and right, and there was no way to repair your reputation at that point. So I am ordered to pay 10% of whatever I make for the rest of my life. the 5.3 million is the property. That is what was paid into the IRS until the time. It wasn't a property or anything. It's just how much funds they had sitting there that I had already paid. So I really owe 9.4, which is still a lot of money.
How much?
9.4 million.
Okay.
So I pay every single month 10% of whatever I make to the restitution for the rest of my life or until it's paid, or until I sell enough cars.
Okay.
Yeah, I will never, you will not see me back here asking for a dealer's license. I want to be a normal person. I was sentenced to 96 months in prison. That's 8 years. I did 6 years of it. When Trump passed the First Step Act, you could earn, well, you earn your good time credit, but you can also do extra things in prison. I taught people business classes. I help people get their GED, those kind of things. So I have tried to turn my life around. I never want to own a business, like I said before, because it is too much work and I don't want that responsibility. I robbed my children. I've robbed my grandchildren of being away. I just want to be a normal Mimi now and a normal job and succeed. I have been home for 1.5 years and I worked at Old Ben Franklin, which is how I met Jonathan Pyatt. He was my boss there. I also left there and went to work for Volunteer Auto. Volunteer Auto is who I applied to be my sponsoring dealership. I think I applied with you guys in May. They laid me off because I was their BDC rep. I was their only BDC rep on July 3rd. They're having some financial issues, but my boss at the time had said, I still want to go with you to Nashville to help you get your license, and we would love to hire you back as a salesperson. Just yesterday, he sent me a text that he's not going to be able to make it. There is no way I was going to miss this meeting. I could still go back to volunteer, but in the interim, I have interviewed at Dodge and at Lance Cunningham, which is Gary Oman now. They've changed names in Knoxville, to go there as well if my license is issued. So I've heard you guys talk about being sponsored by a dealership. That makes me a little nervous since Jamie Eady was not able to be here today, but I really want to move forward with my life. I am a good person. I'm not a bad person. I made a huge mistake in paying my ex-husband the money, but I very much protected my children in doing that. My company valued at $500 million. He would have been entitled to half, $250 million. Just because it says a value of $250 million does not mean I had $250 million. I was paying him $20,000 a month alimony. He wanted custody of my children only for child support purposes. Those were not his children, but he adopted them because their father had passed away. He was extremely abusive to my children and myself, so I felt kind of backed in a corner to get them protected. I'm not justifying what I did. What I did was wrong, but it is the situation that I was in. Do I regret it? Yes. Do I regret protecting my children? No. Do I want to move forward in life and be normal? Absolutely.
Okay. You want to hear from the person you brought with you?
Jonathan Pyatt again.
Okay.
I was able to sell Andrea her first car once she got out of prison.
Okay.
Any information I ever needed was totally transparent. I heard from her probation officer to get this set up. Met her sons. She raised 3 Marines that have went and served her country. I felt like once I heard her story that any one of us, given her circumstances, what happened for the IRS to say something's okay and the FBI to say, no, it's not okay, that could happen to any business person. She, I found her so interesting that this lady, I'm 46, I won't say how old she is, we joke that she's 14, could amass a company like that and be so successful, being basically the sole provider of 3 kids, and go to prison, come out very humbled, and just want to have a simple, normal life. She's an awesome trainer. She's a wonderful, she's not taking the salesperson role, but she sells herself so very well that Most of the time, if somebody came into the dealership because she set appointments for them to come in, and they couldn't buy a car, they'd still want to be Andrea's friend. I really hope y'all see it, that to allow her to be able to get her sales license so she can move forward in life. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me ask you just a question or two. So you owe how much?
I owe 9.4 million now.
Okay. So there's no time limit on that, just
There's
like the
not.
other case we
Yeah.
had? It just, you pay 10%?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, any questions?
Commissioner Vaughn, so you haven't been in any trouble since then, correct?
No, ma'am. I was in no trouble ever before that and have not been in trouble since then, no.
Okay. That's all I have.
Just out of curiosity, so the statement that you put in here says that you paid your ex-husband with tax money? I'm presuming this money that was set aside from the various companies for their
Correct.
taxes, and you used that to pay
Yes.
your husband. Was the IRS not able to recover that money from your ex-husband?
No. Everybody asked that question. I would love for him to pay that money. That would make me so much happier or help me now, but no, because he didn't make that transaction. He didn't do anything wrong. So there's a lot of, but he did testify against me in court. But yeah.
Commissioner Norton, I'm seeing a lot of the restitution payees. Are these the people that are affected by your business closing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. A lot of people affected.
Yes.
That's all.
What's your pleasure on this license?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the license.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for this vote?
The motion is to approve licensure. It was made by Commissioner Vaughn and seconded by Commissioner Owens. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton? Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn? Votes aye. Commissioner Rydell?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Owens?
Aye.
Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. Mr. Rudd, your license has been approved. We will email an electronic copy to the dealership.
Yes, ma'am.
And then mail the hard copy out. It takes usually about 10 to 14 days.
Perfect. Thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much.
Okay. Okay, that was a lengthy discussion on all of the cases, but now we're on to the director's report. And Executive Director Lawrence, if you will give that to us.
Yes, sir. We have steady car sales. Since our last meeting, we've had 93 new dealers opened, and we have about 23 dealership applications in process. Our dealers are fluctuating between 3,400 and 3,300 statewide. We've opened 158 complaints and closed 22. We have a current number of vehicles reported sold in 2023 as 1.2 million, and we've collected about $80,000 in late annual sales reports. Our customer satisfaction rating remains very high, and we are turning around our licenses to all of our licensees in just under 3 days. So again, I'm very proud of my entire team. We've had to assist our customer service center, who has undergone a lot of staff change in the past 6 months. So they've been asked to do double duty and have always done so with a smile, and I sincerely appreciate all of their help. And I also attached for your perusal, along with the director's report, our net position statement, the most recent one being for May. And as you can see, we're still running in the red, which is why we hope that we're able to have our public hearing in October so that we can get our fee increase before the General Assembly and get that enacted as soon as possible. I also attached disciplinary action reports for the last 3 months since our last meeting. I know some of you like to review some of those. Unfortunately, I didn't cut out all the other reg boards. I left those in, so you may have to sort of fumble through that. But that's all I have for my director's report.
I vote to adopt.
Okay.
Commissioner Owens, you made the motion.
Second, I will second it, yes.
Okay, so we have made, I think, one amendment that we're gonna go over here in a little while, but if you turn to the very end of the legal report, we have 2 complaints that have already been presented to you at different meetings that you made decisions on, that are being represented today, and we have the respondents here. One of them you requested to appear, so they're appearing at your request, and another one is appearing just to discuss the matter and discuss the civil penalty, which I know that's out of the ordinary, but the director and I discussed it first, and we thought that this would be just a special case, that it would be appropriate to do this before moving to a formal hearing. I informed the respondent that their anonymity would no longer, be there, and they accepted that risk. So we'll start with the first one, which is number 132.
Let me ask you this. In doing this with these 2, will we then include that in our legal
Yeah, that's why
report
I wanted to
altogether?
just have
Okay.
you
That's why
talk
we're
to the
doing this
respondent.
now.
Yeah. So
Okay.
once you talk with the respondents, you will just decide what you want the final, decision to be, whether it be a civil penalty, closure, whatever you decide. And then we will go over those 2 along with our amendment from the Legal Review Committee, and then you'll vote on the report like you would normally.
We've already made a decision on it, so we'd either uphold it or amend it.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And you're free to talk to the respondent about anything you want related to the case. Ask
Okay.
them questions, hear from them. So the first one is number 132. And the respondent is, I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong, but Dre Kokoy? You can come on up to the microphone. I'm just going to summarize the case and refresh their memory because it's been a while, and then they'll talk to you.
Sure thing. Good morning.
Okay, I'm going to just refresh your memory on what I think is important to, just for you guys to know before speaking to Mr. Kokoy. But there's a pretty long summary here. I'm just going to pick the part that, like I said, I think is relevant. So basically, the respondent sold a vehicle to the complainant that had been a trade-in vehicle that came into their dealership before it was sold. It had a lien on it at that time that it was traded in. The respondent stated that when they're in the situation, when they're paying off a lien, they don't pay that lien off by a singular method, but instead use different methods of payment in case something doesn't go as planned. So here, the respondent paid the loan off for the trade-in. The lien was with Navy Federal Credit Union with 2 different payment methods. One was a wire transfer of $20,000, and one was a cashier's check for $19,500, and that should have covered the full lien. After months of waiting for the title to come in, the respondent reached out to Navy Federal and was informed that the wire transfer was never applied towards the loan. It had, however, been withdrawn from the respondent's account. And then further, supposedly the bank had no record of the cashier's check, so that it was ever satisfied. So the respondent talked to their bank, which all of this money came from, which is the Bank of America. They investigated it. The Bank of America found the cashier's check was satisfied to a different account that was not affiliated to Navy Federal. After months of back and forth with Bank of America, they reversed the $19,500. However, the $20,000 wire transfer is quote, just gone. It wasn't applied, but it was taken from the respondent's bank. So that is the reason the respondent has explained to me that this title is not being released to him and then therefore released to the complainant. So as far as I know, the complainant still has the car. The title's still being held by Navy Federal. The respondent has tried to get the information of the original owners that traded this vehicle in, and supposedly Navy Federal won't release that information. Supposedly they're still paying on this car. So it's, as you can see, it's a very complicated matter. I know you are dealers, you may understand this better than I do. I also felt like you wanted the respondent to come in and talk to you, so he's appearing at your request. So you can ask them any questions. In the end, what the original, decision by the commission was, the respondent also failed to respond to this complaint without us sending an investigator out. So we authorized a $500 civil penalty for that violation of failure to respond. But we still have this issue of a complainant having a vehicle, no title, and there's like no end in sight. I do know the respondent has made quite a bit of payment back to the complainant. So I'll let you talk to him about, how much is still owed and what the plan is from here.
Commissioners, got questions at this point?
Yeah, Commissioner Norton, now you're making payments. This individual, the complainant, traded in the vehicle, and I heard the story about the way it was paid off. First, it's really unorthodox how that was paid off in two different transactions. As a dealer, it's one transaction. Why would you send a wire and a cashier's check?
To be honest with you, just because of all the scams and stuff that goes on, I've always done two methods, either cashier check or wire. Now, luckily, I wish I could have done the whole thing with a cashier check instead of wire typically, because I could have gotten the whole money reversed back. But since I did half of it in the wire, that's gone. I was only able to redeem the cashier check part. Yeah.
That's the part that's unorthodox. Why would you do two methods? You do one or the other. Why? I've never seen you. Why'd you do two different methods?
I've always, I don't know. It's always been a rule of thumb for mine. Growing up, my dad always taught me, kind of going back to the not putting all your eggs in one basket kind of deal. So other than that,
who is the lien with that's still owed?
Navy Federal.
Navy Federal.
Yes, sir.
And are you making payments to the Navy Federal or to the complainant?
To the complaint.
There's still a lien outstanding. If I'm the lien holder, I'm not
Yes.
going. There's no way of knowing that they're making the payments towards the lien. And is the customer still driving the car? The new customer.
To my knowledge, she is not driving it. She just has a park, because I'm pretty much in daily, well, not daily, but at least every other week, or because I'm still making payments to her. So we still have a conversation going on. To my knowledge, she is not driving it. But I told her to hold on to it until I pay her off the whole full amount. Once that's satisfied, then I can bring it back over here, and then I can further pursue my, on my end with Navy Federal.
Do you have business insurance that would cover fraud or help with that?
Well, I've got all the needs that's required to run a dealership, whether it's a business license, a business insurance, a bond. I'm a running business, and I have been for almost, in December, it'll be 14 years.
So you have any idea where the money went that was?
Because I'm only getting limited information. They're pretty much protecting the person that I purchased the vehicle from. They're protecting their identity or their information. They're not giving me much to go about with. But I had all the documents that I've also presented to Erica that shows that, because I asked for a lien satisfactory letter, where to send the money to, where to apply the money to. I did everything that I was supposed to, and then my bank will even, show that where the money was wired to. And then Navy Federal will tell you that the money was was they had received the money, but it was never applied to the loan account to where it's supposed to. And then that's when the customer had gone and draw that money out instead of applying it to the loan account.
Was it misapplied? I mean, so the wire was acknowledged received at Navy Federal?
Yes, it was. But
But
apparently the customer should have called them and say, hey, that those funds that are coming in, apply it to the loan. But he never did that and went in there, drew that money
So
out.
it went in their personal account, and they just withdrew it?
It's that loan account for that vehicle. Whatever that particular vehicle, that's what I was explained to. And I might not have the answer to your question, but I'm just pretty much telling you what I was told.
So the cashier's check was applied to the lien at Navy Federal?
Not even the cashier check was applied to the cashier check was applied to a different account.
I'm confused.
Yes.
So what got applied to the lien? Which one, the wire or the
The $20,000 loan. I sent it to the account that should have been applied to the lien. But once I wired that money to the account, the customer, the owner of the vehicle, should have called Navy Federal and say, hey, that $20,000 that just got applied to the account, I want you guys to apply it to the vehicle loan. But he never did that. He just went in there and drew that money out.
Wow. So to make me understand, there's a consumer who purchased the vehicle from you that's making payments that can't get a title, correct?
The consumer pretty much paid for the whole amount.
They just don't have a title.
Exactly.
Okay, that's where the concern is, the harmed consumer.
And he allowed the surety bond to lapse by 9 months. Am I correct on that?
No, that was misinformation that was given to me, which is
Okay.
why we represented it in the first place. That was not correct. So that, you can ignore that.
Okay.
I don't know why, though. You may want to ask him why the surety bond didn't cover this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like, why has the surety bond company not been involved in this?
I'll be honest with you, I have no idea. I've never been involved in situations like this to know who should take care of what. I've always done everything by the book. I've always done what needs to be done to prevent issues from happening. Like I said, in December, it'll be 14 years of me being in business. This is the first time you see me up here. A few things here and there, that's norm, but nothing of this caliber.
What about the piece of the original owner still making payments for a car they don't have? What's that about?
And that's because every time I've called Navy Federal for an update, the loan is, the amount that they owe is less than what I first
So that's coming from Navy Federal. They're
Yes,
telling you
yeah.
the loan's being paid.
Yes,
So they're not upset.
yes. And I have no access to it's.
Why haven't you brought a claim against Navy Federal? Because they acknowledge receiving the money and they
Yes,
misapplied it.
yes.
Why don't
Well, my whole thing was to take care of the customer that I've been dealing with first. And like I said, out of my numbers might be off by a couple of hundred, but out of the $50,000, I've already paid them back close to about $33,000. And I'm giving them good lump sums. So my thing is, once I get that satisfied and taken care of, and I have the vehicle in my possession, then I can further pursue.
Erica and Taylor, isn't the surety bond for the consumer? Wouldn't we give the information of the surety bond to the consumer so they could be made whole?
Yeah, and I'm sure we did. I know, from what I can remember, the complainant mentioned filing something with the surety bond,
Okay.
but I don't know why it didn't work out. I don't know what the surety bond did or why they did not.
Because he wouldn't be the one that would file.
Right.
It would be the
I know that
consumer.
the complainant did try to work with the surety bond, but I just don't have any more details.
Okay.
I don't have a clear explanation as to why it was denied.
Well,
As you know, all of this is just really complex and rare and unique, and there's just so many moving parts. So the surety bond could have denied it for many reasons.
Oh, That's me.
So, I mean, for the main thing that's on the table is a $500 fine for not responding. Why didn't you respond in a timely manner to the commission?
To be honest with you, other than just negligence, I can't give you any other, and I don't want to beat around the bushes and make it, come up with unreasonable reasons, but I'm a sole proprietor, so I'm running a one-man show, and I know I got the letter, but other than negligence and just following up with it, I couldn't give you anything else.
That's 500 per month?
No, that's for thinking the surety bond had expired, which it hadn't. That was
Yeah.
the original penalty, so
Okay.
now we're just down to $500
Okay.
for not responding. So I guess the other topic is for us to try to better understand this weird transaction. From my understanding, it seems as if, you're sort of the victim here from Navy Federal.
Yes, exactly.
You're doing your best to help the consumer.
I'm glad
For whatever
somebody's finally
reason-
understanding me. Yes.
For whatever reason, the surety bond is not paying the consumer. We don't have too much visibility into that. We can question the patience and the approach that you're showing with Navy Federal, but right now you're just trying to get the car back. Once you get the car back, then you're going to finish your business with Navy Federal. But at the end of the day, he's the one who lost $20,000. It just went missing.
A lot more than that.
And the customer is.
A lot more than that.
Sorry, and the customer has the car, he's paying her for the car. I'm not really
Well,
sure
we-
what else there is for us to figure out what to do.
I don't think there's much we can do. I don't think we can do anything for him with Navy Federal Credit Union, but all we can do is help the customer get the surety bond info and maybe follow up and see why that's not working out.
Yeah, I mean, I can call the surety bond company and try to get more information, but as far as what we can do related to this matter under our authority, you can uphold the civil penalty for failure to respond. And I believe the reason you required him to be here was to discuss all of these details and decide if you wanted to additionally fine him or issue any other discipline for the fact that this complainant has a vehicle with no title. Do you want to put the blame on the respondent, or do you want to believe the defense and put the blame elsewhere? Because if you felt like it was appropriate, we could issue a civil penalty for false, fraudulent, deceptive acts, which is what we normally use when a title isn't produced in a timely fashion. But I think you wanted him to appear so you could talk through it all and decide if you thought that the fault was his or someone else's.
So what do we have with him? What's the fine? $500 and that's it?
For not responding.
Well,
Right.
I
And
think
then
that's
anything
fair.
else if you decided that it was appropriate.
I think we just withheld. No, it's withhold.
Uphold.
Yeah. Uphold, excuse me. We uphold that, and, but I think all we can look at is taking care of the consumer and getting that surety bond info to them, and I think that's all we can do, because he has the responsibility of having insurance to protect him, and that's up to him and his own business plan. Yeah, I'll make that a motion.
And kind of
I will
in
second
addition.
that motion.
I'm
There's a
sorry.
motion.
Okay,
There's a motion.
There's a motion and a second.
Oh.
You go ahead, there's discussion now. Do you want to say something?
Oh, in addition to what you just said, I think following up with the insurance or the bond company might be something that whenever I can't, to my knowledge, I always thought it was for them to step in if I can't take care of the matter. But do they still need to be involved since I'm in contact with the consumer and I'm trying to get it taken care of? And based on what I've got kind of planned out, I would say maybe less than another 6 months, I should have her squared away, so she'll be out of the picture. And then it'll just kind of be between myself and Navy Federal. And the reason why I ask this is because I just kind of don't want this to affect. I think my license is up for renewal next year. If I want to renew my bond, then they're going to look back at this, you were at risk at one point, then we're not going to renew your bond. But they're not going to look back at the previous 13 years that I've absolutely haven't been any issue to them.
Well, I personally feel like if you can take care of the customer and not use the surety bond, that's fine. Or
Yes.
she doesn't have to use the surety bond.
Yes.
But I think that we, as a commission, have to offer her that that ability
Yes.
to make her whole.
Yes.
So you can talk her into not doing something with it if you want to, but we have to offer it to her. I think that's the way we have to go.
The complainant knows, I mean, it's been offered.
It has?
Yes.
Okay. Can you just follow up to see why it didn't go through?
Yes.
Okay.
And I know that she she went through a lawyer, a legal representative, to get this thing taken care of. And I just kind of advised her. I said, since, now we got banks involved and stuff like that, it's not just between her and I or her bank, her and I and my bank. It's also Navy Federal. It was Ascend that I had gotten a small portion of a loan for her to pay the vehicle, pay for the vehicle. And I said it was always best to have somebody, and maybe if she has somebody to represent her, so that way we have everything on file. And in the beginning, I think whenever she had gone to a lawyer, of course, first thing they do is to come through the, Motor Vehicle Commission, take the legal ways. And I think that's when the surety bond was first involved. But once, I explained to them what the situation was, and they kind of felt that, I wasn't the one that was trying to screw them over. It was the, I would say Navy Federal / the previous owner of the vehicle, and she knew how helpful I was along with her for the purchase of the vehicle. I guess she just felt bad, maybe. And then that's why I was like, I will make this right. It's not something that I wouldn't. I'm not trying to hide from you. I'm not trying to, ignore you. And then I've made that effort to make it right.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying, but we need to roll this up and get going. But we've got a motion and a second. And you want to read the motion? Executive Director Lawrence?
My understanding is the motion made by Commissioner Vaughn was to uphold the penalty of $500 for failure to respond to the commission, seconded by Chairman Roberts.
That'll work. It's vice versa, but,
My bad.
okay,
I will change that.
okay. All right, let's vote. Will you call the roll?
Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
That's aye. Commissioner Elam? That's aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
That's aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
That's aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
That's aye. Commissioner Vaughn? That's aye. Commissioner Rydell?
Aye.
That's aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
That's aye. Commissioner Owens?
Aye.
That's aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. The motion carries.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Next.
Mr. Kokoi, so I'm going to send you that consent order, and we just need to get that signed and the $500 payment made immediately so we can get it resolved.
I can pay for it on my way out if you want me to.
If you want to stay, I can talk to you after. It's up to you.
How
It's
long
a-
it might take you?
I mean, it could be 30 minutes, so if you don't want to stay, I can call you later.
If you want to give me a call, I can just swing by.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay, can I move on to the
Yes,
the next one? Okay,
please.
135 was originally presented to you. I recommended a $500 civil penalty for respondent's misuse of the Easy Tag system. Respondent has two dealerships. One is down the road. Respondent made a sale of a vehicle to this complainant and it issued a temporary tag from the other dealership. I'm going to let him explain that. But after discussing all of the other issues within this complaint, the commission felt that it was more proper to assess the maximum civil penalty of $5,000. So the respondent wants to contest that, and after discussing this with the director, we thought it more appropriate to allow the respondent to waive his anonymity if he chose to, appear before you, discuss this without immediately going to a formal trial. So this is your opportunity to ask him questions, discuss it, let him speak. Is Mr. Farhangi here? I am. Okay. So I'm going to give you a really brief update, too.
Okay.
At the original presentation of this matter, I think Commissioner Norton spoke to this, and it was really important to the commission that the complainant had the avenue of arbitration to dispute this matter of the selling of a vehicle that a bumper fell off, they can't attach a plate to, the title is getting revoked for whatever reason in the state of Mississippi, can't drive the car, basically. And the complainant originally filed suit in civil court. The respondent and their attorney appeared. It got dismissed because the proper avenue was arbitration, and I've been informed and have documentation to show that the respondent has not paid the required arbitration fees or cooperated with arbitration. So that is dismissed, and now the complainant has to go back to civil court if they want to do anything about this. So I wanted to update that. I think that's important for the commission to talk to the respondent about.
Okay. Questions do we want to hear from you? I guess we want to hear from you.
Good morning, Commission.
Okay.
Director Lawrence. This particular vehicle was purchased from state of Tennessee. I actually had the avenue of watching the video from the last meeting and what occurred at the meeting, and some of the missing points and facts that's related to this case. We purchased this particular vehicle from the state of Tennessee, and that is a government agency operating in a great state. And there was no disclosures or anything obtained by state of Tennessee to us due to the vehicle being salvaged, nor any title issued that was salvaged at the time. We objected to the state of Mississippi for that fact. They requested a duplicate title from state of Tennessee. We went back to the state, got a duplicate title for the very same vehicle. There was a clean and clear title. There was never frame damage disclosed. The vehicle was properly repaired through a third party. I have pictures that I have included, which, if it's okay, I can pass down, for the vehicle when it was at the auction, and vehicle when it was at our possession before the purchase. I believe that we're getting penalized the largest amount for purchasing a vehicle from a state of Tennessee by another Tennessee agency. And we've had no infraction. We've been in business for a very long time. Consumer service is our number goal. We love our consumers. We take care of our vehicles. When the vehicle was sold to the consumer, prior to this, they obtained a certified Nissan technician that attended to the dealership and inspected the vehicle for them prior to the sale. And when the consumer came to the dealership, they also did such an inspection as well. We welcome pre-sale inspection. We had no problem. The vehicle had the bumper on it. It was legal. It was driven to Mississippi from the dealership. And at one point, the zip ties were put on. I have no clue what happened to the vehicle, how the bumper was removed. We have not seen the vehicle since that. And we are, I'm not sure if Ms. Smith has the facts or not, in the workings with the consumer to resolve this, but with such a high fee, I'm not sure what room do we have to negotiate with them, and we want to take care of them. As far as the arbitration, the consumer has filed with the state of Mississippi to revoke the title. It did not come from us. It was a consumer's decision to do that. There was a lender involved. The lender was going to fight this particular case with the consumer in regards to the title being revoked and to a point of repossession. And therefore, the arbitration was paused due to that fact. That the vehicle may have been repossessed at the time if the title indeed was going to be revoked. At this time, we are in contact with the consumer. We have talked to them, and we are in the works of getting a resolution made, pending on what happens today. We are eager to find out what we can do to help them resolve it. There was help offered from the get-go, but we could not get them to direct us to the findings. I have some pictures I would like to share with you guys, if that's okay.
I have a question for you.
Of course.
What do you mean you're going to help the consumer pending what happens today?
Well, The fine that was exerted to us, ma'am, for not having any types of issues in the past, the temporary tag, I understand, it was a mistake that happened. We take full responsibility for that. As many of you guys do practice the same things as we do as dealers. We use one computer that utilizes a dot matrix printer, which we have no longer using due to this very error. We want to help them. We really do. We've never decided not to help them. We have great customer service. We sell great vehicles. This is an unfortunate event that happened that we're still unclear about how, due to the fact that they honestly had the vehicle pre-inspected by certified technicians. We had no issues, no known issues with the vehicle in any way or shape when they took possessions of it.
But back to Commissioner Vaughn's
ma'am.
question that she
Yes.
asked you, it almost sounds like you're blackmailing us.
No, not at all.
into the
It's
fact
I
exactly
apologize.
the way it came across.
Yeah, I
You know,
apologize.
Can I
kind of
say
what we
something?
do, whether or not
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can help the consumer. We want the consumer help now.
Absolutely, that's our goal, 100%. Yes, Ms. Smith.
I just want to let the commission know that this is the first time I've heard about the respondent being in touch with the complainant, trying to work with them. And there's two sides to every story, I understand
Sure.
that. But from what I've heard from the complainant, they tried to litigate this in a civil fashion, in a civil court. They were served with arbitration papers at the courthouse saying, no, arbitration is what you agreed to if you have a problem with this sale. So the court dismissed it. They had to pay an attorney to do that. Then they tried to do it the way that you wanted to and go to arbitration, and you haven't complied. The arbitration wasn't paused. It never started because you didn't comply with the arbitration fees. And I have a letter stating that from the arbitrator themselves. So now the complainant is forced to go back to civil court and continue to pay an attorney. And I don't understand why all of that would have happened if you've been working with the complainant the whole time.
May I respond?
Yes.
We have been. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We have been working with the complaint. Our attorney can provide her with the proper documentation if she needs to. They did not have an attorney. They self-represented themselves. Our attorney guided them through the process along with the arbitration. However, due to the fact that the title was going to be revoked, and we had inside information, which I spoke to Ms. Smith about, that the bank may repossess the vehicle should the consumer decide to move forward with revocation of the title. We paused the arbitration on our end to proceed because we didn't know what's going to happen with the vehicle, whether the consumer was going to be still the legal owner of the vehicle or not. As far as correspondence with our attorney, we did. We talked to Mr. Oliver, who's the complainant, and we are in the process of either returning the vehicle, if possible. We don't know where the vehicle is currently or what kind of shape it's in, or help them in resolve the issue for once for all. I understand that they might have had a buyer's remorse. From our understanding,
But
they
buyer's
returned.
remorse has nothing to do with this. So how long have you been in the car business?
We've been in business for over 20 years
So
altogether.
would you consider yourself an expert?
Somewhat, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Well, to me, even having a technician that's
Mm-hmm.
going to come in and do a once-over, they may not be looking at frame damage and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the expert, not the consumer. And it's our job to protect the consumers of the state of Tennessee. So I don't like your statement of saying it depends on what we do here.
I
We're going to do the
apologize.
right thing. And what are you going to do to make it right for the consumer?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I'd like to know.
Yes, ma'am. So we are in the works currently to work things out with the consumer. That's what we are. But we are trying to settle one thing at a time. As for the frame damage, we don't have the equipment to do it. We had no knowledge of it. A third party did the body work to the vehicle. We were never disclosed that it had frame damage. However, this particular vehicle was displayed publicly at the auction to the consumer. There was never anything that was hidden from the consumer from prior to sell.
So the consumer went to the auction, not you?
If you Google the VIN number for the vehicle, ma'am, all the information for the vehicle will pull up, including its state at the auction prior to us receiving it. So we were never deceptive. We never hide anything from the consumer in any way or shape. And we took pictures before we sold the vehicle. So yes, majority of time, as many of you guys know, the information for consumer purchasing a vehicle at the auction is not available. You can't look at the pictures and see what the vehicle looks like prior to purchasing the vehicle. Majority of the time, that's private and confidential information. However, in this particular case, the vehicle is publicly displayed to all. We've never hidden anything. We never tried to. But we welcome pre-sale inspection. We gave them an opportunity. And I have no way of knowing whether the vehicle has frame damage or not either. I
So
don't have the tools to
Are
do
you
it.
also saying that the person responsible for arbitration is lying to the commission?
Person responsible for arbitration? What do you mean? My apologies.
Just the document that I was given by the arbitrator stating that you haven't paid the fees to the arbitrator, allowing them to arbitrate this matter at all.
Yes, we've never acknowledged that that did not occur. The way that we had to pause the arbitration on our end from proceeding, ma'am, due to the fact that we had been informed by the lender that the consumer was proceeding to revoke the title. And by doing so, the lender was going to possibly repossess the vehicle. So that would have not been owned by the consumer anymore. So we were in a kind of,
I don't understand that part. That'd be something to discuss in the arbitration.
Exactly.
That could be a defense that you could use in the
And-
arbitration,
and
but
our
the arbitration still needs to start.
It never
Absolutely.
started, right? Would you agree that it never started?
The arbitration never started because we have been in touch with Mr. Oliver in order to do other means to take care of them. And a possibility of such case is to take the vehicle back with no issues whatsoever. And due to the fact that they did not want to spend money on an attorney, our attorney was advised by the judge in Wilson County to help them out. And he has been very cooperative with them. But being advised by our attorney to hold off on the arbitration due to the fact that we're not going to know who is going to actually own the vehicle. There was no reason to proceed with it because the consumer was revoking the title and therefore the bank was going to pursue the complainant.
What's the current status? What does the consumer want?
The consumer, sir, has reached out. We reached out. We did. We reached out to the consumer. We had a phone call with Mr. Oliver. We provided him with what he would like to do to settle this matter for once and for all, to help them out. And he has reached out to attorney and provided him with what he's looking for. Our attorney is in the works of getting a settlement put together so we can get them taken care of.
So what is it that he wants? What
He
did
wants
tell?
to return the vehicle. That is what they want to do.
And I
Are
think
you
they're
willing to do
justified
that?
in
Absolutely. We have no problem
Sounds
helping them out.
justifiable.
We have no problem from the beginning to help them out. This was never an issue. But unfortunately, with the threats that they made to the employees, that they made to the staffs, it made us extremely uncomfortable. And the car wasn't here, sir. The car was in Mississippi. We had no way of do any kind of repairs or anything to them, but that was advised to them and they declined. They didn't. So that's what's been going on. They refused to register the vehicle. The county clerk took initiative and registered the car on their behalf. We had nothing to do with the title not being perfect. And then they proceeded with getting the vehicle title revoked.
Counselors, I'm just at a loss on where we need to, what do we need to do at this point?
I mean-
I know we can uphold the fine that we gave him, the
Right.
$5,000.
Right. I mean, I feel like I may have handled this completely differently I've spoken to Mr. Farhangi, I believe 2 days ago, I confirmed that he was going to appear, and maybe a few weeks ago, he requested to appear, and never once have I been told that he was working with the complainant. If I thought that, we would have worked with the complainant. Maybe we could have resolved this before you appeared here. I thought you were coming here to appeal the large fine that you felt was unfair.
Yes, ma'am.
I had no idea that you were going to take the car back, and the complainant's never told me that. I've had long conversations with the complainant, and I'm not saying you're lying, but I've never heard that from either one of you.
We
So
will-
this is new information to me.
We will provide you with the emails and the correspondences that has been from our attorney.
When did you agree to take the car back?
We have not. We're
Okay.
in the process of working the numbers. They have sent a proposal to us, and our attorney, he's on vacation this week and last week, and we are in the process of taking care of that for them. We have not agreed to return the vehicle as of yet. There is no problems with the vehicle, but we will do that if
Well,
need be.
I think that the consumer hopefully will be watching this, and you've said you're going to take the car back. So, and I think you should do the right thing to protect that
Absolutely.
customer. I mean,
I agree
that is
with you.
absolutely.
And-
I'd
and
like to
and
make a
that's-
motion that we uphold the fine for $5,000.
Commissioner Norton, second.
Any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call a roll for the vote?
Let me make sure I understood. Commissioner Vaughn has made the motion to uphold the fine of $5,000, seconded by Commissioner Norton. What was the first part of that? Just,
I just hope the consumer sees that he has said that he would take, he
Okay.
would actually give them back their money,
Okay.
because he should do that.
thank you very much. Commissioner Levy?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Elam?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Rydell?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Owens? Votes aye. And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. The motion carries. The violation, the amount of the violation will be upheld at $5,000.
May I ask a question? Should we resolve this amicably with the consumer? Can we return to appeal the fine? Since we have never had an issue ever violating anything with the state in any way or shape.
Is it legal they can come back?
No. At this point, your only option is either to sign the consent order and pay the fine, accept the settlement offer from the commission, or have a formal hearing, which is like a trial, in front of a judge and in front of the same commission with the same evidence, and make the same defense. And if the commission rules the same or a heavier civil penalty, that will be a final court order, and you will have to pay that.
Understood. Okay, so we cannot appeal this particular.
No, I mean, you can just not agree to accept their offer and take it to a formal hearing, but there won't be any other new evidence that you can present other than what you've given them today.
I understand. Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
And may I make one comment, just for clarity's sake? I'm sorry, I don't know how you say her. Mr. Ferengi has indicated that he's never had any other complaints or penalties against his dealership. I count 9, not including this one, 9 previous in prior years, prior to this one that was filed in late 2023.
Could you please provide us with those copies?
Absolutely.
Because I'm not aware of them.
Absolutely.
Did we respond to them, ma'am?
I haven't looked at, they all had to have come to some conclusion.
Sure.
And I will absolutely provide
Thank you so
with that.
much. I appreciate it.
Okay, counselors, would y'all like to summarize the legal report and let us vote on this?
So for the. No, okay. What I'm doing? Okay. I don't know what I'm doing, but for the original legal report, we made a change to complaint number 101. We changed it to close instead of discuss, and that's the only change we made during the legal report committee meeting. I mean, Erica can touch on these changes.
And then for 132, the commission decided to uphold the $5,000 civil penalty And then for 135, the commission decided to uphold a $500 civil penalty for failure to respond.
Motion to accept the legal report. Commissioner Norton.
Commissioner Vaughn, second.
Any further discussion? Executive Director Lawrence, will you call the roll for the vote?
The motion is to adopt the legal report as amended, as previously stated. Commissioner Levy? Votes aye. Commissioner Elam? Votes aye. Commissioner Speaker? Aye. Votes aye. Commissioner Galvin?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Norton?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Vaughn?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Rydell?
Aye.
Votes aye. Commissioner Kramer? Votes aye. Commissioner Owens?
Newbie.
And Chairman Roberts?
Aye.
Votes aye. You have adopted the legal report as amended.
All right. Legislative updates.
I need somebody to turn their mic off.
That's me.
Go. Is it not working, Taylor?
I'm nervous to pick this, I'm nervous to pick this one up and give it to you. Should I do that? I know, I said maybe it's my ring doing something, I don't know.
Okay, yay. Okay, legislative updates, here they are. So I'm going to move through these really fast unless you guys have any questions or want me to read a longer summary, let me know, I will. We've got an electronic titling bill that will be effective, or that was effective April 22nd. It allows the Department of Revenue to procure and implement a statewide electronic lien and titling system. I know that's exciting for everybody. There's some updates regarding public automobile auctions, and you guys have all of these summaries in your packet that became effective in March 15th. We have some F&E tax collection update, a revision that, let's see, both the amended returns and the refund claim must be submitted by November 30th of 2024 for it to be effective, and that actual bill was effective May 10th. There is a Chattanooga charity auction.
Can I chime in real quick on
Sure.
the F&E? Just because I think this is relevant for all of the dealers. I think that I included on that a link, I did, for more explanation and how you can file, because you do have to do those filings by November. Thank you.
Right, and then, so that charity, basically a bill authorizing a charity antique auto auction in Chattanooga was approved and became effective. This is a pretty big change, that a bill that became effective July 1st, that all regulatory boards, including our program attached to this department and the Department of Health, will have to issue advisory opinions to anybody who is certified, licensed, or registered by us. So we haven't gotten any that I know of yet for this, but that's going to be quite a lot of legwork, and it's going to take a lot of manpower, but hopefully we'll figure out a way to handle it efficiently. And then last, there is a towing bill revision that became effective May 28th, and I guess July 1st. There's two parts related to the booting of vehicles. And just an interesting fact that a Nashville company has sued to block the state from enforcing this law that bans third parties from booting vehicles in parking lots. So we'll see where that goes.
Okay, we need to adopt the legislative updates report, or do we? It's just a report? Okay. All right. Committee reports. Audit Committee, there's nothing. Rules Committee, there's nothing. New business, agreed citation schedule revisions.
I guess I'll take this one. We have talked about a couple of times making some adjustment to our agreed citation schedule. So what I did is I just put together, basically I doubled them because we haven't done anything to our penalties in quite some time. You have two sheets. The first sheet is just what the actual revised amount would be. The second sheet you have was originally an Excel spreadsheet that compared the new suggested rate to the existing rate so that you could make some, measured judgments about what we should or should not do. And I highlighted some that I failed to take off of there, so please ignore that, except that I would bring your attention to, and this is pertinent to our last discussion, the sale of salvage vehicles before the title is issued. Currently, our existing schedule calls for a $2,500 penalty for the sale of a salvage vehicle without a rebuilt title. I increased that, suggested that we increase that to $3,000 with a second offense equaling $5,000. We also talked about this for quite some time, to also penalize that individual. Previously, the number of temp tags issued was included in the fine. We thought that it was pertinent that we take the temp tags out and have them be assessed a fine of their own. I originally had that at $3,000 per temp tag, which just mirrors the title, the rebuilt title, and $5,000 for the second offense. I think that's probably high. So I wanted to bring that to your attention so that you could maybe weigh in on that. Y'all may want to take some time and look at this in more detail. And maybe let's vote on it at the next meeting. I know this has been a long meeting, and I hate to make, and we don't have everybody here. So what I thought I would suggest is that we just take some time and look at this, and in the interim, I'll try to send you out a better copy, because this one came out really tiny, and I don't like that. I did it in Excel, and it wasn't tiny, but when I transferred it to a PDF, it got that way, because I'm not, terribly techie. I need to go to Commissioner Rydell and have him show me how to do things. Okay. So anyway, I wanted you guys to take a little time, look at that, but I think it would probably be best, if the chairman is okay with it, that we put off a vote on making those changes until the next meeting.
Okay. So that won't hold us up. Okay.
We'll just continue to issue the fines based on the agreed citation schedule that we've already approved.
Okay.
So,
Do we need to vote? I mean, we're not voting on it now.
Nope,
We're going to do
nope.
it next time.
yes, sir.
Okay. All right. No old business. Guess that's it. Public comment? Okay. None out there? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. There not be any noes. Jim, did you second that?
I second it.
Yeah. Now, Commissioner Steve, her device with
Take care. Congratulations.
How you doing? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, yeah, good seeing you. You call me if you have any information. Okay? I'll help you.
I'll have to go upstairs and laptop and I'll scan all of those complaints. Yeah, thank you.
No, and there's a yellow Chevrolet. That's absolutely nothing to do with it, other than a I'm Rydell, and they have Rydell's. So.
Orange and blue, Tim, do you need us? Do you need us?
No, we'll catch up.
About the one that. You know, Tim Slattery, he is with this automotive.
But I didn't know we'd be going, I had to buy a couple cars when I first got it.
I know, you're right.
But that's probably not what
I
I'm
bought
supposed to
mine
do.
from Sherman Rock.
Oops. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you in person.
Yeah.
So this is- thank you. Well, I see you said-
Yeah, I've apologized 1,000 times.
Excuse me.
I've apologized already, and said it's normally not like that. Okay.
So, we're in the process of helping them, from, where Bailey said, well, I'm trying to. They need to offend the commissioner in any way or shape. You know, we know they're being part of training, we follow the rules, as I mentioned to you on the phone, I took the initiative and I contacted you, because I really care. I care about resolving this issue, whether we were penalized or not, we'd be in the works of doing something for them. But our bank wouldn't let us. They said there's a loan, we can't do anything, until the loan is fully paid. From my understanding, because arbitration agreement by default, if you look at it, it said for the creditors, and we weren't the creditor on the actual loan. We're not, like his figure was, it is the lender who's handling this. From my understanding, they just recently paid the vehicle off. And given that fact, is when we needed to be able to help them see that we can need to resolve everything. The vehicle had no problems.
I mean, that's just been disputed.
And I welcome that, but, if you're not confident in what it is, and I'm a member of they spoke really highly of you, I spoke with his parent, very good at standing with the, Tennessee Motor Vehicle Association, yes, ma'am. Yes. And,
Oh, jeez, grab it. No, he's actually, yeah, he's talking about when you're talking about creditors.
Yeah, you can attest to it, and I understand, and I know it takes one person, and I
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
we've got the same
He's going on about that right now.
we have as well, you know, and we have been.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll see. Thank you.
Through all this process, my attorney, advised him on what's going on with the arbitration and where it stands, and the reason why we didn't proceed was because the bank advised us that this is what's going on, as I mentioned to you on the phone. I have no problem. This is a good vehicle. We were never told they got frame damage from the auction. It's a Tennessee.
I'm calling him
auction.
and tell him about it.
We never
Okay.
found.
In case he didn't get too far.
Hey,
Hey, you left your Yeti in here, so do you want us to run it out to you?
The bumper didn't fall off. I don't know what happened after the vehicle was taken. We don't know that. But I know that when we
Okay.
presented the vehicle to them,
Sounds.
they got works for Nissan as a Titan.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Have a good rest of your day.
Engineer.
Bye.
Well,
He's already gone.
honestly,
Yeah.
there is a reason that we look at these, that we have them look at those and all this stuff. Yeah, you know, they don't know who they're talking about or.
Oh my God, I know. I was so shocked. Fair and I made contact, and she was
From
like,
my understanding, when the dealer association called,
Fair and I made
pushed for
contact.
what's the maximum?
And I was like, what's the maximum?
And yeah, I watched the video and I was like,
Yeah, Karen, I remember talking with Karen Smith, and I said, look, go, and I'll tell you why they did it. I'll tell you why they did it.
it's because of the whole
No,
situation.
it has nothing to do really with the situation. It's all about salvage vehicles. They are adamant that the streets of this state remain safe. And if you put a salvage vehicle on that road without revealing that, and I get what you're saying, I get that, you know, you say you bought it from the auction and there were no structural issues, but
It's in dispute.
It's-
It's really, there's no more conversation about it. At the end of the day, it's either you can accept this on the offer, or we go to a hearing and we have this discussion before the judge. That's basically what it's like at this point.
Right, well,
Once you'll go into enforcement, then you just enter your search criteria. I think
This was the one that.
yeah, everything's licensed.
I told you that Tracy was representing
All
these.
the-
And
all the-
he said, no, he said, it was kind of a
If you
high.
have
I said, oh.
things like that, you can enter your actual
I said, here, it's the
business name.
Yeah, never called me.
Complaints filed with someone.
Never called me.